Salute, salute, salute. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Appreciate all the new subscribers, man. We are literally 9 subscribers from 1,000. So thank you guys all for making sure that you guys are subscribed. You're liking the videos, you're commenting, you're hyping the videos. Continue to show your boy love. We're almost at our first milestone for this channel, for our elite media group. And it's been, you know, a lot of great feedback, and I can't appreciate you guys enough. So thank you all for making sure that you guys are subscribed. We are so close to our goal. It's crazy, man. It's insane. Yo, salute, Tarian. Thank you for pulling up, brother. Hey, but yeah, we are almost there, man. 9 subscribers away. So make sure you guys continue to share the video, help us grow, because that only helps our channel get to where we need to in the algorithm, because we already know how sometimes things can be over here on these YouTube streets. So truly appreciate everybody who's been subscribing and showing love, hyping the videos, leaving comments, man. It's been nothing but inspiring and like a very, very good boost. You know what I'm saying? For me to continue to do what I do, obviously. So today, what are we talking about? All right. So this is something that I'm kind of working on. I've been seeing a lot of conversations. And from a personal standpoint, this is something that I kind of wanted to speak on, right? Is I've been seeing a lot of conversations going on within the foundational Black American community, and then obviously through the entire African diaspora, and then as well, just all different types of people who've kind of been trying to speak on what's going on within the foundational Black American community. And I've been seeing this argument, I guess, if you will, about that Black Americans don't have any power, right? What do you guys have? You guys don't have anything. Why are you guys trying to act like you're better than everyone else, right? And I've been seeing that a lot lately, and it's been really, really upsetting me, because when I see these type of conversations happening, and not only that, the back and forth of it all, it really just dawns on me that a lot of people just don't understand history, and specifically the history of foundational Black Americans, right? So today, what we're going to do a deep dive in foundational Black American power moves, all right, over the past and present. Salute, Johnny Retro. What up? What's the topic? All right, we was just talking about it, okay? So look, like I said, I've been seeing a lot of conversations going on within the foundational Black American communities, and then as well within the entire diaspora and everybody else who has something to say about foundational Black Americans. And like I said, they've been trying to attach themselves to this argument that foundational Black Americans have no power. And I just wanted to make sure that I showed you guys exactly what they are trying to say and how I can debunk that argument very, very quickly, okay? Because like I said, over here, I do a lot of research. I take a lot of time with history and studying history so that I can come on to you guys and share the information that's necessary for you guys to be able to use it at your own free will, right? But this argument is something that has really upset me, because it just shows how uneducated a lot of these people are, who get on their own platforms and choose to speak very, very ignorantly about the things that they do not know. All right. And it's our job as foundational Black Americans to continue to bring the receipts. All right. Enough with just these circular conversations that go nowhere. We are going to talk about what's really going on, how these things happened, and we're not going to allow you guys to run out the back door and just be saying whatever. That's what we're not going to do. And it's really upsetting me because I've been seeing this so many times. And not only that, I'm seeing the fact that people use a lot of the engagement based on foundational Black Americans responding to people's disrespect. And not only that, the disrespect to our ancestors and people who paved the way, and the disrespect for the ones who are now standing on business to push us even further to where we need to be, right? So we ain't gonna play no games. Ooh, this is gonna be a good one. I love a deep dive when it comes to the lineage facts, man. And we gonna do it tonight because you already know with me, I'm gonna bring receipts every single time. Every time I come on this channel, every time I go live or drop a video, you guys can count on me to bring the facts. All right. There can be a lot of chit chat. I'll be seeing a lot of that, a lot of chatter, a lot of upset individuals, okay, who cannot articulate themselves properly. So what they'll do is spread these inflammatory BS arguments that have no merit in what we really trying to talk about over here. Shalom, shalom, family. Salute to you. Thank you, Ezra. Appreciate you, man. All the family. Thank you, guys. So look, let's bring this up first, right? So this is the thumbnail. All right, the thumbnail that I use for this video and for this live stream, right? It says FBA moves. We got the Foundational Black American flag in the back. We got Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King. You feel me? We got Dr. Claude Anderson, obviously, because he's going to be an integral part in this entire stream. Okay. We got our brother Malcolm. Okay. We also have the sister Angela Davis, right? All these people were integral in creating the power that Black Americans are able to just bask in. You feel me? Bask in our energy, bask in the power that we possess. All right. And the fact of the matter is, these people right here were integral, put their lives on the line to make sure that we do not forget who we are and the power that we possess. Right. And it's very interesting because Dr. Claude Anderson has a book about powernomics, right? And it specifically talks about a lot of the infrastructure that these foundational Black Americans on this thumbnail created for us to benefit from today, right? So we're going to start, right, with the Panthers, okay? We're going to start there, all right? So let's get into a few comments before I drop in. All right, salute to Tori. He says, one power move that was made is Robert F. Smith paying off student loans for the 2019 graduating class of Morehouse College. That does not get highlighted enough. Facts, Torian. Thank you for that fact, because that is a part of this. These arguments that I'll be seeing a lot of these people trying to bring towards our lineage with no merit and no research or historical data to back it up. To say that Black Americans have no power is absolutely insane. And mind you, when Black Americans were making the push and were doing what was necessary for us to be in the positions that we are in currently, whether they want to admit it or not, all right, whether these people want to admit it or not, we are the ones who are closest to everything else. Why? Because we set the trends. We are the ones who created the inventions that have changed history and the world at large. We are the ones who continue to raise the bar every single time. All right. So it's important for us to make sure that we stand on business. Right. So let me bring this up for you guys real quick so we can do a quick reaction. Let me take this down. Sorry. There we go. All right. Boom. Now we're going to talk about this. Okay. So I came across this video, and the video was called The Dawn of Black Power. Okay. And this is a very short documentary about when the Black Panthers were coming up and exactly the facts of what happened to them. All right. So you guys got to pay attention to this, because when I talk about infrastructure and the way that things are supposed to be set up for our foundational Black American lineage, and not only that, the foundation for us to be able to build from, these were integral times that show it. Okay, so let's go into this video real quick. Here we go.
The thrill-seeking white militants claimed they were inspired by the Black Power movement, particularly by the gun-toting Black Panther Party, which had come to prominence in Oakland, California. But in fact, the Black Panthers were a far more sophisticated political organization than their white imitators would ever be, and had a far different...
All right, far more sophisticated, okay? And this is the part that really starts to annoy me, that gets left out, is the fact that a lot of the Panthers were military trained, okay? They weren't guys just off the street, all right? These were dudes who were in the military, who were part of specific groups that were specialized individuals who came back with those specific skills to protect their community and to take care of their community. It wasn't just about toting guns, all right? It was a sophistication, like she mentioned, that was integral for them to be able to make the impact that they did, okay? And I hate the fact that that part gets like misconstrued and forgotten, right? Is the fact that these were real, sophisticated people who had a goal in mind, and they worked together collectively to be able to reach that goal, all right? So let's continue, right? Because like she said, these other white militant groups couldn't hold a candle to them. And that's because of the sophistication and the planning and the backing and foundation that they built that was completely unique to the Black American experience, that was necessary for our protection and growth as a community, all right? So let's continue.
Agenda.
What they represented for the Black community was something extremely positive. They represented, in a sense, a new and different form of what we traditionally call in our community talented tenth. This is the notion that the best of our community has to put its education and resources at the disposal of the community.
All right, now you heard that, right? The best of our community is held accountable to contribute for the growth of our community, right? That's something that's very integral, because I hear a lot, like I said, I hear a lot of conversations, right? Individually or within groups or reposted from other content creators. But the goal should be our best, okay? Our best have to work together in order for us to be able to reach the goals and accumulate the power that is necessary for us to continue to dominate within our community, right? Because I always talk about me versus me. I don't care about any other groups. I'm just being real with y'all. Like I said, I'm kind of different in that way. All I care about is us versus us. How do we become the best version of foundational Black Americans? Everybody else, I could care less, because in my opinion, all of this is just fodder. Okay, we already saw what COINTELPRO did to these establishments in our groups, right? We already knew that. So now, in my opinion, with my platform, the goal is to make sure that we are using our best to create and collaborate to be able to grow the power that we possess within ourselves. I don't care about anybody else, man. And that's just what it's about, y'all. Make sure you guys stay locked in on that part. The part of our best, okay, should be contributing to this community to grow it. All right? Keep that in mind, because we have a lot of people who continue to say that they are for our community and they do not do anything for us. All right? We have to continue to push through those people who are just talking. All right. There's a lot of talk, but I don't see a lot of people showing the work. I need to see the work that's going in than just talking. Okay. Because I mean this, I could be on here all day just running streams and doing whatever, but I'll be out here doing the work. And you can look at my content and it backs it up. All right. I don't have time to be going back and forth with people who just don't get it. Like he said, our best have a responsibility to our community to help it grow. Okay, our best, nobody else's, family. And that's what we got to stay. We got to stay focused on that, y'all, because it's a lot of people trying to distract us, trying to bring us into different conversations that just do not matter, family. We got to stay focused. Thank you. Yes, it is. This is stuff that, like I told y'all, I'm gonna make sure every time that I'm up here, I'm bringing y'all real receipts and real interviews, real content that you guys can use to take it outward. And like I said, do with what the information that you will. But I hope that it inspires you to go outside and do something in your community, specifically for Foundational Black Americans. Like I said, it's about us. I don't care about nobody else.
Prior to the middle 60s, I had always been defined in terms of highly educated middle-class Black people. Here, on the other hand, we have relatively uneducated young Black street people who find that they have resources within themselves, which through organization can begin to transform the community. That's why they caught on so fast. They represented the organizational expression of all the people on the corners without work, outside in the schoolyards without an education, without an identity, but with an agenda for manhood and for achievement, hopefully, in this country.
All right, you guys understood that? Okay, it was a collective. Okay, a collective of our people, those who felt like they didn't have the education or they didn't have the backing to be able to go out here and make something happen in this white dominated country. Okay, for us, that was an enlightening moment, right? And the same thing is happening right now on social media. There is a lot of people who are waking up, who are understanding who they are and why the delineation has so many people upset, right? It's because we are taking the power back. All right. The power that they say we don't have, when we started to delineate from all other groups, you saw the power come right back to us. But yet they tell us that we Black Americans don't have any power. That's a lie, because the way that they're acting based on the way that we are delineating tells me otherwise, y'all. It tells me otherwise. It lets me know that what we're doing, we are going in the right direction, okay? Because we're taking the power back and we're putting it back into ourselves and our community. Never have I seen in the history of the world a certain people choosing to focus on themselves and it makes everyone else upset. Y'all let me know a time in the chat that you've ever seen people do for themselves and it upsets others, like what Foundational Black Americans are doing for themselves right now. Please help me understand if you guys have ever seen a time, because I haven't. I salute to Terry, and he says, and them others be mad as hell when we say we're looking out for ourselves, bro. 100%. And they can never give us a factual reason why, other than, like I said, the gaslighting, uninformed mumbo jumbo that they want to put out there. Okay, I got to be careful with my words here, but that's what it is. It's all propaganda and tether babble. All right, just continuing to babble, but it doesn't equate to anything. Okay, delineation is about self-preservation and us growing in our community, focusing on ourselves, nobody else. So when we are doing this and it's upsetting others, hold up, what does that say about you? What does that say about you if you have a problem with us growing our community? Like you guys told us for generations. How many generations have we heard them talking down to us, telling us we need to get our stuff together? We need to get our community together. We need to focus on ourselves. And now that we do it, what is happening? Yeah, it's crazy, ain't it? Delineation is a strong power move. Yes, it is. 100%. And that's why I had to make sure that this specific stream is talking about Foundational Black American power moves, because the delineation movement is a huge power move. Like I said, it shifted the entire power away from what everybody else was trying to cling on to and brought it right back home. Okay, we don't have to go back and forth with nobody. All we got to do is make it clear that we are looking out for ourselves and we are trying our best to clean up our side of the street. Y'all focus on y'all. Y'all got to fight outside. Y'all should go ahead and do that. All right. Let me continue the video, though, because, you know, this is a great video and we're going to continue tonight.
The 10-point program. Number one, we want freedom. We want the power to control the destiny of our Black communities. Number two, we want full employment for our people. Number three, we want an end to the robbery by the white man of our Black community.
All right. And now, particularly focus on what he's saying about the tangibles. We always talk about tangibles, and that's why I continue to make sure that I will focus on spreading the awareness of the tangibles that foundational Black Americans need. One, all right, an anti-Black hate crime bill. We all are on one accord with that. We need that ASAP. ASAP. We need that. All right. Number two, reparations in cash payments and land grants, because those were deeds that were entitled to our ancestors that were never fulfilled. We need that. Okay. Three, we also need to focus, because like I just did a video on Sunday about the fraud that goes from the immigrant community, all this money that they're given to start businesses, to run fake businesses, to be able to get money for free from the government, over $222 billion. Yeah, we need that. We need that in our community. We need our businesses to be funded. We need our land grants. We need all of that stuff. We need it. We need that. If we can follow the money in all these different communities, from Middle Eastern communities to Latino communities to African communities, okay? Any community that has been franchised and given all of these benefits, we need those benefits as foundational Black Americans, because we've been here since the beginning of this country. We need those. Tangibles are very important to establishing where you stand in the power that you need to possess. We don't just go and spread out and say whatever. No, bro. Tangibles. We need tangibles. And like this brother is speaking on, their tangibles was getting jobs in their community, being able to be safe in their community, being able to feed their families. They already had that. And that's why we have to continue to push for tangibles. We can't just be out here arguing with people who ain't gonna have no power to do nothing for us, y'all. F that. I'm tired of it, y'all. I'm tired, bro.
Number four, we want
Most white Americans saw only their guns and heard only their violent rhetoric. But Black militant groups like the Black Panthers were the demanding voice of a younger generation that had given up on Martin Luther King's nonviolent tactics.
All right. So this is how it goes, right? There is a birth, a rebirth, right? With every generation, we have to keep it going, right? So naturally, you had Malcolm and you had Martin, all right? They were both in the same time during the civil rights era, right? Some people were more militant and they leaned more to Malcolm X's ideology. Some were a little bit more on the nonviolent side with MLK. You can choose your side, that's fine. But once they both started to connect, okay, once they both started to work together, what happened? Mysteriously, they're both assassinated. Why is that? Because they both were coming for tangibles. All right. We can't play around. We can't dance around these topics. When I said a lot of these people from these other communities tried their best to separate the two, not knowing the history that there was meetings that were happening between Malcolm and between MLK to what? Bridge the gap. So then we all can make sure that we get in them tangibles that are necessary. And one of the last interviews from MLK that I played right here on this channel was him talking about reparations for foundational Black Americans. Isn't it a coincidence that right after that he passes away or he's assassinated? You know what I mean? I think that's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because tangibles are where the power lies. Enough with, like I said, these circular conversations. No, we are going to make sure that we stand on the tangibles and we stand on the historical documentation that shows us that every single generation, we have had a specific list of things that we wanted, and we have to make sure that we stand on business to get them. Enough with these back and forth conversations, these protests, whatever. No, bro. We want tangibles, dog. That's it.
Their implied threats of violence and their radical political agenda made them extremely frightening to mainstream America.
Number 9, we want all Black people when brought to court to be tried by a jury of their peers or people from their Black communities as defined in the Constitution. Number 10, we want land, justice, housing, education, clothing, and peace. And as a major political objective, a United Nations supervised plebiscite to be held throughout the black colonies of America, in which only black people will participate to decide or determine the will of black people as to their national destiny.
Now, listen, these type of things that were being spread throughout the community from these specific groups, like she said, it was terrifying to the white establishment. Okay, to the point where the FBI created a full-on attack on our organizations. Okay, and it wasn't just the Black Panthers, like I just mentioned. Okay, they took out MLK, they took out Malcolm. All these were strategic. All right, because of the power that these foundational Black Americans possessed. So that's why I always have to make sure that when I hear these conversations, when I see them coming across my timeline, I'm like, dude, these people are so ignorant to say that Black Americans have no power. How is that possible when we can go back to the history and it shows us otherwise? We can go back to the present day and it shows us otherwise. Y'all let me know in the chat, man, if I'm off base, because what I'm talking about right now is real. This is all historical documentation that backs up my argument tonight. And we're going to make sure that we stand on business, man, because like I said, those conversations really upset me because it's so dismissive to our history. And not only that, to our future. What you mean we ain't got no power? What?
Right on, brother. Right on.
Right on.
Our parents were very negative about the Black Panthers. And so whenever you mentioned it in my house, my mother would go loopy. But once I started to talk with a lot of people and people who were affiliated with the Black Panther Party, I decided that they had a good program and that I really started looking inwardly at myself and who I was and where I was going and what I wanted to do and what I wanted my children to be or how they would grow. And would they grow with this inferiority complex that the white society had pushed on us so long? And I decided that I wanted to go the route of the Black Panther.
Congratulations, you're now registered to vote in the Alameda County of California.
As the Panthers organized voter registration drives, health centers, and food distribution programs, they won growing support in Black communities nationwide.
All right, so this is also a point here, right? They were creating voting registration, all right? They were creating food plans and meal plans for the community to make sure that the babies was fed, that the families in the community was fed. They were also policing the neighborhood. What do you mean that foundational Black Americans don't have power? This level of organization, this level of strategic planning that it took to be able to have these type of collectives, you're wild if you ever think that foundational Black Americans do not possess power. The power that we possess has already been set for us, all right? And we are following a blueprint, okay? Like she said, there were a lot of other Black Americans who didn't support what the Panthers were doing. And we can go back in history to all the way back to people like Harriet Tubman, who talked about so many slaves who didn't want to leave the plantation. We are still among them till today. All right. And that's also a point that I have to make. Not everybody gonna go, y'all. Not everybody is in unison with what we got going on as foundational Black Americans right now. A lot of that is coming from within, right? Enemies, foreign and domestic. Okay. They were able to infiltrate this organization that was signing people up to vote, that was helping feed the community, that was policing the community from police brutality and racism. They infiltrated them. And what did they do? Assassinated them. All right. And we're going to get to that part because there's a part in this that they talk about where this is never mentioned, that 26 members of the Black Panther Party were assassinated. 26. Nobody talks about that, though. They only talk about Fred Hampton, but they don't talk about the other 25 people that were murdered by the FBI. and COINTELPRO, who were using the police to, you know what they did. Man, let me stop and let me let this play, bro. Look at this.
But an escalating cycle of shootouts, arrests, and eventually what Panthers claimed were assassinations by police
They were.
led to the almost complete elimination of the Black Panther Party by the early 1970s.
How do they die? Hey, in 1969, the FBI, through its counterintelligence program, targeted the Panthers for elimination. There's plenty of documentary evidence that shows this. In that year alone, in 1969, 26 Panthers were killed by local law enforcement agents, and 750 Panthers were imprisoned or jailed. The organization was largely destroyed systematically.
All right, 26 members, 750 were arrested. All right, and that's why I was so upset when you had that fake Black Panther out here talking about he gonna do what he gonna do to the government. Bro, do you know how many people died for this? Do you know how many people lost their lives for us? The audacity of a fool to come out here and inflame what he don't know about. And that's why I wanted to make it clear. The history cannot be forgotten, okay? 26 members. And guess what? I try to do my research and find the 26, and you can't find it anywhere. You can't find it anywhere. So what we gonna do, we gonna pay respects to those who were named, okay? Sounds like they had a lot of fear of an organized collective. Listen, don't it sound very familiar about what they're doing to Foundational Black Americans right now, calling us a hate group and that we are xenophobic and all this stuff? Don't that verbiage sound very familiar? Am I cooking or what? Because it sounds very familiar. It sounds very, very familiar. And it's funny because how can a lineage be considered a group? Y'all let me understand, all right? So let me continue, okay? So let's talk about it. It is widely cited by historians and researchers of the FBI program COINTELPRO that approximately 28 Black Panther Party members were unalived by police or in orchestrated attacks between 1967 and 1971. While COINTELPRO targeted the Panthers for neutralization through surveillance, infiltration, and psychological warfare, the FBI directly planned and facilitated specific raids in coordination with local police departments. I mean this when I say the verbiage and the language that they are using towards Foundational Black Americans sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound very familiar? Don't you see what's going on? Don't you guys hear what's going on? Aren't you guys paying attention to the fact that this has been going on for a very long time? The FBI infiltrating into certain movements and certain collectives of our people to do what? Cause chaos, division, and as well targeting. They are targeting us, okay? So let me continue. While a single official list of 26 specific named and recognized victims is very hard to identify, the search results and the following are among the most prominent, okay? So let's talk about it. Fred Hampton, Chicago, 1969. The chairman of the Illinois chapter was unalived in his bed during a police raid that was orchestrated by the FBI. All right. Mark Clark, also Chicago, 1969, from Peoria, where my dad is from. Okay. Chapter and leader was unalived in the same raid. Okay. Let's talk again. Alprentice Bunchy Carter, who was a part of the Los Angeles chapter in 1969, the Deputy Minister of Defense, okay? This was one of the most trained and highest ranking in the Black Panther Party. He was unalived during a shootout at UCLA, all right? He was later found exacerbated by an FBI instigated tension with the U.S. organization. Do you know what that means? Somebody, him, okay? Somebody, him, till he was not alive, all right? Let's talk about John Huggins, also from Los Angeles in 1969. He was unalived aside Mr. Carter, okay? Sam Napier, Oakland, 1971, Inter-Communal News Service editor, okay? He was unalived in a feud involving another racial group, the George Sams group, who was also a white supremacist group, okay? They were linked to the COINTELPRO and created dysfunction within the party. Doesn't this sound familiar, you guys? When they're going around throwing out inflammatory words about foundational Black Americans, make sure that makes your antennas go up. Make sure that you understand that this was a part of the plan from the beginning. Okay, the FBI is very, very good about infiltrating into certain specific collectives and, let's say, groups, okay, like us, our people, to do what? Create division, like they just said right here, okay? Alex Rackley, New Haven, New York, 1969, was unalived by other Black Panther members who suspected him of being an informant, okay? This was all happening, bro, and this is why it's so crazy. Let me continue. Bobby Hunton, all right, Oakland, 1968. He was the first member of the Black Panther Party killed by the Oakland police. All right, shall I continue? Because guess what? Deborah Johnson, who was the fiance of Fred Hampton, she was injured during the raid while she was pregnant with his child, y'all. What are we talking about, man? What are we talking about? If foundational Black Americans possess no power, why is the government creating and pushing counterintelligence against us? You don't think that's happening right now? You're crazy. If you don't think that all these people collectively coming for a lineage, you don't think that's by design? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to raise questions. I'm here to bring the facts. I'm here to bring the history that backs up our arguments so that y'all can be, aware of how these things worked in these times. All right. So let's continue. All right. Because I just cooked. All right. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, man. We are almost at 1,000, man. And we ain't going to make it without y'all, because this type of information, you're not going to find it anywhere else. All right. You're not. Every other channel is going to do their own research about, whatever they have to talk about. Over here on my channel, I'm talking about history, Black American history, and as well how the government has continued to try to hijack the movements. All right. They trying to hijack this delineation movement. Y'all better be unaware with this. Y'all better pay attention. All right.
By the local and federal authorities.
Rest in peace. Everybody that I mentioned, rest in peace. Straight up.
The difference, I would say, between the civil rights movement of 1954 to 68 and the Black Power movement was that the civil rights movement sought equality with whites. And it was a middle class movement. The Black Power movement assumed equality of person and merely sought the opportunity to express that equality by saying, we are a proud people. We don't need you to tell us that. Our kinky hair is glorious. Our black skin is something we're proud of. And we are who we are. Now we merely seek to express that.
Okay, what is happening right now, guys? What is happening right now? Black Americans are taking back our power, and it is upsetting so many other groups. Why? I don't know. I truly do not know, but it sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound very familiar? All right. Like he said, that the pre-civil rights movement was about assimilation, right? Trying to, get equal rights. But after that, it's like, nah, bro, we done with that. Now we need to make sure that we assume our dominance. And what do? accept the power that we possess. All right? Black power ain't just two words, family. It's internal. It's in the heart. It's in our soul. It's in our spirit. We are not going to be subservient to a people that we know genetically can't fuck with us, man. That's just facts. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Salute to Ezra. He says, considering the history of oppression towards our people, it's unbelievable that law enforcement started wearing body cams in December of 2014, courtesy of Foundational Black Americans. Facts, Ezra. What are we talking about? What are we really talking about? If we really talking, let's talk for real. And like Ezra said, considering everything that we've been through, they want to say that we don't got no power, and we are literally showing you right now what that means. What is black power? We just showed you right here, man. Salute to Ezra. Thank you. Hey, salute to Torin. He says that they hate it because all the lies they put out there about us are about to blow up in their face. Facts. And I'm literally blowing up the argument right here, live and direct for all of you guys to see. Ain't no way that Foundational Black Americans don't got power when I just laid it out there for you guys based on a specific movement that all of us identify with currently as Foundational Black Americans. Gone are the days of us wanting to assimilate with them people. We know who we are. We don't need y'all to tell us who we are. We know who we are. And now that we're taking the power back from that, they can't stand it. They can't stand it. They hate the fact that we have taken our power back, that we said, no, you can't dictate who I am. I looked at my genealogy, bro. What you talking about? My genealogy tells me that I'm indigenous to America. You got a problem with it? Go do your genealogy. Get out of my face, family. I don't have to explain nothing to nobody. And they hate that. They hate it, bro, especially when you can do it from a very intellectual standpoint. All right. My community over here, y'all who mess with me, y'all intellectual. I already know that. Because if you over here with me, if you over here chilling with me, letting me continue to educate y'all and put out, these type of videos, I know that you have a very high level of intellect. Okay, I know that. So when I go ahead and speak this, I'm speaking to people who are of the same cloth, who are of the same belief systems, who are of the same lineage. Okay, and they hate the fact that we have this. We are using our mind. We're using what we have, our resources, to make sure that we back up our arguments, and we ain't going back and forth, man. Enough with that. Salute to y'all, man. Salute to everybody who subscribed to my channel, man. And like I said, make sure you subscribe if you messing with what I'm talking about right now.
You, young man, you come here. You're a Negro.
No.
I am your teacher. You are a Negro.
No.
Suppose I threatened to beat you, what would you say? Aren't you a Negro now?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Suppose I had some money in my pocket.
Listen to this, man. Listen to this, okay? This is what indoctrination looks like, and this is why it's so necessary and why they're so afraid of Foundational Black Americans, right? Because now that we have taken back the power of who we are, we can now give this to our children, all right? I don't have children yet, but when I do, I can guarantee you that their history is solidified. It will be guaranteed that I will raise my children to know who they are and not let anyone dictate or tell them who they are. All right. And that's why the power of what we're doing right now with the delineation movement is hitting them in such a hard spot, because, like I said, this is what happens. The babies, all right, the youth. All right, the youth are also consuming the content just like we are, as the older generation in comparison to the youth. They are being indoctrinated just like we are, just like we were to the information that we were given. So now Foundational Black American being the rule of the day, us changing the narrative and saying, no, we actually identify with our roots and our indigenous background. Our lineage is specific to this country. And you will not allow anybody else to tell you anything else. All right? Because that's how it has to be. It starts with right here, the youth, the babies. All right?
Suppose I gave you $1 to say that you're an American Negro. This is money now. Money talks. Money talks. This dollar. And if you don't say it, you don't get it. You're an American Negro, aren't you?
No.
You won't have any money. You know you need money, don't you?
Yeah.
You need money to live, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. All you have to say, Leon, is that you're an American Negro. Aren't you an American Negro? Are you an American Negro?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What's your national?
All right. Did you see how he was thinking? He was thinking, right? He thought about it and he came back to his base, right? He thought and he said no. Okay. And that's what's happening right now. A lot of us are thinking, a lot of us are taking time with ourselves and really reevaluating everything. Just like everything that's happening right now in the world, obviously there's a lot going on outside. But within our community, there's a lot of thinking going on. A lot of people are really taking time to reevaluate everything that they learned. All right. And they are now changing the way that they think and the way that they respond. Gone are the days of us calling ourselves African American. Those are done. Foundational Black American. That's who we are. Who are you? Foundational Black American. That's it. We don't need to explain it. I don't need to go back and forth with you. That's who I am. That's my lineage. That's where I come from. Foundational Black American. Who are you? Foundational Black American. That's it. No more conversations about this or that. No, this is who I am. And we don't have to go back and forth about it. Whether you offer me money, whether you offer me anything else. No, this is it. Hey, salute, V. Appreciate you, bro. All right, we're going back in.
Nationality.
My nationality is Afro-American.
Very good, man. Keep it up. Go sit down. You had to think about that a minute, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right. All right, everybody. What is your nationality?
My nationality
I remember getting my afro. I used to, straighten my hair with the chemicals and you'd burn your head and it was very expensive. And, and I remember showing your Africanness and your Blackness by wearing an afro. And I remember having beautiful dashikis, beautiful. It's like a garment that's like a.
So now we must talk, right? So there was the indoctrination part, right? Where we were identifying with African ancestry at this point, right? A lot of us were identifying with that. And naturally so, the generation that comes before you, that's how it goes. So we did that. And we saw how many people were, you're not African. You're not a real African. You're not a real African. And we said, okay, I guess we not. And what did we do? We checked the genealogy and it told us who we really are. I don't see how that has become such a big issue for these people and why there's so many conversations about it that are going nowhere. I'm not going to argue with nobody about being from Africa or having African ancestry. We're not going to do that, fam. That's just not what we do over here. I'm done with that. We're moving into tangibles. We're moving into the history, moving into understanding the powernomics of our community that are necessary. Okay, that are necessary for our growth as a people. All right. So let's continue.
And it looked like everywhere you went, somebody was trying to see who could be the blackest and whatever, don't care where it was. On somebody getting up on a box, making a speech, and somebody was a brother was always trying to show that he was blacker than somebody else. We went through a heavy wave of African Swahili, the language. Then we began to name our children African names.
In our home, Wednesday night?
Friday.
Every Friday, my husband gave our children an assignment. They had to learn something about Africa and report on it.
All right. And that was a part of the indoctrination. Like I said, there was a huge push, right, for us to identify with our African ancestry. And we went out of our way to do it, y'all. And that's why I'm going to be real with you. That's why we were so surprised when we was like, yo, like, okay, cool. Some of y'all do have African ancestry. Some of us don't. We just identify with the ones who don't. We don't. And so naturally, For whatever reason, that upset so many people, and it's still upsetting them to this day. And I could care less, bro. I really could, because at the end of the day, it's a dead conversation. I do not care. It's not my job to make people feel comfortable. It is not. I don't care, dude. Whatever y'all on, y'all can be on. But for us, man, we ain't finna be doing this, bro. And so now that's where we come in with Dr. Claude Anderson, okay? Dr. Claude Anderson comes after 1971, going into the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, okay? The one who put the entire understanding together in such a way that was necessary for us to go into the new era, all right? And so now we're going to watch a interview from the brother, and this one we're going to talk about Powernomics, his book that he wrote when it talks about what we need to be doing as a community and a collective, all right? And this is an interview from 1995, okay? This is Powernomics, Detroit Black Journal, all right? So salute to the Detroit Black Journal. If y'all from Detroit, I don't know if y'all seen this in the 90s, but salute to y'all. Hey, salute. Peace. Peace, God. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Hey, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, y'all. We are 9 subscribers away from 1,000, man. Let me get them 9, y'all. Let me get them 9. All right. So we could just go ahead and get that out the way. All right. So here we go.
The book, Black Labor, White Wealth, has taken Black America by storm. Tonight, Dr. Claude Anderson revisits the issues surrounding the controversial book. Welcome to Detroit Black Journal. I'm Darrell Wood. On this edition of the Journal, Dr. Claude Anderson provides solutions to make Black America economically competitive as a group. That's straight ahead on Detroit Black Journal.
All right. So we're going to skip the music intro because I don't know about copyrights. You know, they be playing games with that. So let's get right to the beginning here. All right. So this, like I said, is from 1995. All right. So let's watch.
White Wealth, the search for power and economic justice. And Dr. Anderson, I'd like to say once again, thank you for joining us on this edition of the Journal.
Darrell, thank you again for inviting me back to your show.
We are hearing that people are responding to this book intensely, perhaps would be the best word I could think of. The book is being bought by the dozens, literally, because people are starting to, I guess, identify with some of the concepts you're bringing up in the book. What we get in this book is a historic context for the situation African Americans or Blacks, whichever term is politically correct this week, find themselves in this country, whether it be economic, political, whether it's the social pathology that we suffer from in this country, in our neighborhoods, or whatever it might be. Your book addresses it.
All right. So look, this was a key moment in our history as Black Americans, because what was happening was he was speaking on, like I said, the actual data. All right. Everybody can have these conversations. They can have circular conversations about Foundational Black Americans. What do y'all run? Y'all don't have no power. What do y'all do? Y'all don't run nothing. Y'all don't have nothing. Okay. Well, guess what? I just showed you guys everything that we have. And not only that, now we're going to talk about the facts. Okay. Because anybody, like I said, they can talk all they want to, but y'all got to show your work. Okay. Show your work. Like when you would do homework or when you would do a math equation, you got to show me how you got to the answer. You can't just be saying inflammatory things and not have anything to back it up. We over here, we stand on business and we stand on facts. I don't care about your feelings. All right. We talking about facts over here. All right.
Addresses it succinctly, and it addresses it with a scholarly and informational background. I commend you on the work in the book, and I'd like to ask you, what was the genesis for the book?
Darrell, there are probably a number of things. First of all, I could say there was a dissatisfaction with what was happening politically in this country as it was affecting Black folk. I could say there was a response to the book, The Bell Curve, which proclaimed that Black folk were genetically inferior. Mm-hmm. And what I want to do is tell Black Americans that you're not genetically inferior, that you've been socially engineered into your present predicament around this world. Mm-hmm. And I also could say that it was a response to the contract with white America.
All right. You were socially conditioned. All right. That's the point that we need to make sure we standing on, is the fact that when they bring up these conversations saying that foundational Black Americans don't have power, we don't run anything, blah, 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 blah. That is a part of their social conditioning because they don't understand history. They've never taken time to do research. They've never taken time to actually look at the facts. Dr. Claude Anderson took time to make an entire book based on that, debunking all of these fake talking points. Okay. That's why it was so important for me to hop on here. And that video, these videos I've been seeing lately been making me so mad, bro, because they don't even know, they don't even understand history enough to get on this internet talking down on what foundational Black Americans don't have and what we don't run and what we don't do, how we didn't contribute to anything. What are y'all talking about, bro? You guys don't get it. And I'm going to make sure that I bring the receipts because we're not going to be playing these games, man. We're not, bro. We're not. Make sure you guys subscribe, man. Come on now.
And to tell Black folk that that contract is not new, that it was first issued in 1638 by the Maryland colony, and nothing has changed. And that Black folk are still fighting for self-sufficiency and competitiveness in this country, and that we must come together quickly or what risk being a permanent underclass in the society.
One of the alarming predictions you make in the book is along those lines. You mentioned that Blacks will be pretty much a permanent underclass in America by the year 2015. Why the year 2015?
2015 because what I've concluded from analysis is that there's going to be a converging of social factors nationally and internationally that's going to place Blacks in a permanent status of underclassship. And we anticipate by that point in time, based on all the research that's coming to us, that the next generation of whites is going to be more anti-Black than they've been since the Civil Rights Movement. 2, we anticipate by the same token about 86 million Hispanics coming into the United States and about 41 million Asians by that point in time, which is going to kick Black folk out of being the minority in the society down to a minority. We've been number 2 in the society for 400 years as a group. We're going to become number 4. And if we have not gotten anything after being number 2 for 400 years, you guess what's going to happen when we become number 4.
Understand your history, understand the facts, okay? Salute Turian, he called it 30 years ago, facts. That's why I had to bring this interview up. This was in 1995, all right? 1995, he already saw the writings on the wall. And so many people tried their best to gaslight us as foundational Black Americans when we seen it coming, okay? And like we talked about earlier, our best need to be spreading this information amongst the rest so that our community can stay locked in. Dr. Claude Anderson was a gift to our community, one of the greatest minds to ever be a part of our community. And there's no way that I'm going to let any of these people hop on social media talking about, oh, foundational Black Americans, what do y'all do? What do y'all own? What do y'all run? Y'all don't run nothing. No. Like I told you guys, there is a system at play against us from all sides. And we can look from the very beginning, from the 1600s all the way to 2026. Okay, he predicted in 2015, it's been happening and it's still happening in 2026. And that's why they are so mad about delineation, because delineation is a byproduct of Dr. Claude Anderson's vision of what he saw in 1995 and what we needed to do as a people to be able to make sure that we are standing on business. Because he already knew with the influx of all of these immigrants, okay, we already know what level we were going to be at. We get pushed all the way down. And why? Because the white establishment needs the buffers, okay? We are the only group that holds them accountable. Everybody else is cool with it. Everybody else is cool with white supremacy. Everybody else is cool with the power structure, except foundational Black Americans. We are constantly pushing the line to change the power structure every day. We don't give them no sleep. We do not allow a moment for them to feel comfortable about how things are. And they don't want that. So they would use these other groups and them willingly open to being used, okay, coming in to be able to try to replace the work, the blood, sweat, and tears that we've put in. All right. This is what Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about in 1995, family. Don't, bro, I'm going to let him cook. All right. Because this was 1995, y'all.
Because at that point in time, all the new groups coming into America, they're coming in higher than we are because this country operates off of a preferential acceptance program, which means that groups are coming in based on skin color, going from the lightest down to the darkest, light, yellow, brown, black. And that's what our immigration laws are based on. And black folk would not be able to penetrate through those groups to get to the white society when that happens, because those groups owe us nothing. They don't understand our problems and they are competitive with us. And we don't begin to be a little more aggressive about being in a competitive posture. They're going to eat our lunches.
Listen, bro, this is why I tell people all the time. You guys know I talked about my history working in corporate America, okay? Being one of the only black executives going through that, all right? This is a part of their competition, okay? I feel like from a personal standpoint, I have to represent myself correctly, right? Being the only black man in the office. But not only that, I already have competitive nature based on me being a former athlete. So from my standpoint, I know I'm not going to let nobody get a one up on me, but the game is they see that in you as well. And they already know that when you walk through the door. Their competition starts as soon as you get hired, family. And so, like he said, if we do not continue to have a competitive posture towards the white establishment, they will try to eat our lunch. And that's why what's going on right now, a lot of foundational Black Americans got their hands up. Y'all go handle it. Y'all got some problems to handle outside. Go do the work. Because we got to make sure that we stay on code, because we know what's coming once all this stuff starts to dwindle down. Who's going to be the first target? You already know what time it is. So ain't no point for me to sit up here on my platform and tell you guys, oh no, let's make sure that we're friends with everyone. Let's make sure that everything. No, you lock in right now. Lock in right now. Make sure you're doing the work. Make sure you're going outside. Make sure you staying healthy. Make sure you're staying mentally healthy. Make sure you're doing things that are going to better you and your family. Get the bag. Start your business. Whatever you've been thinking about, do it now. Don't wait. The time to do anything for foundational Black Americans, the time is now. We cannot wait. No more were the times of us trying to, get a little bit of crumb that's going to fall off the master table. No, bro. We have our own table. Let's start setting it and let's start eating amongst each other. F what they got going on, because if we don't, like he said, they're going to eat our lunch. All right. And that's just facts. Salute to Ezra. He says they never cared. They didn't, bro. And so that's why even, I seen a lot of people was hurt about the way that the response was from the delineation movement. A lot of people felt some type of way when that was happening. But from my standpoint, I'm indifferent. I don't care either way. I'm indifferent because I already know who my enemy is. And I know that in order for me to be able to reach the levels that I want to reach, I have to lock in. Nobody else, because it starts with one. It starts with one. And I want you guys to leave with that. It starts with you, yourself. You do the work and everything else will come towards you. Law of attraction, man. This is just facts. And like he said, keeping a competitive posture through all things, because they are competing with you. They're not your friend. They never will. All right.
One of the things that I should mention right here is the fact that the book is filled with tables, graphs, charts, and historical accounts of how such discrimination, prejudice, and racism, economically, politically, and socially, were engineered into our system, literally codified as a way blacks would be treated in this country. So that when we hear you talking about blacks becoming a permanent underclass, or we hear you talking about the inherent racism in the immigration system in the United States, you're not talking off the top of your head, are you?
No. See, the first immigration law was put in place immediately after the Revolutionary War in 1790, which declared this was to be a white country. and there was a zero quota placed on black folk. That zero quota stayed in place until about 1965. Based on the 1880 immigration laws, it moved up a slight bit, less than 1/2 of 1%, and to allow more blacks to come in. But in starting in 1965, went up to 1/2 of 1%. That's why blacks are in a minority class in this country. That's why you cannot get Haitians into the country, because the larger society is extremely fearful of blacks getting a numerical dominance. And they built a quota system into the country, even in our immigration process, and into our to make sure that black folk do not constitute a threat.
And specifically, you see how he mentioned 1965, because we always talk about the immigration bill of 1965 that didn't just bring in those of African descent, okay? We also talk about the Latinos that came in based on that, okay? Why? Based on us as foundational Black Americans fighting for the immigration, we were thinking that these people were going to be aligned with us, but they aligned with whiteness, okay? And the white establishment, and that cannot be forgotten, all right? Sweet. Hey, salute to Norin Neal. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. Hey, Arisa, hey, appreciate what you do. Hey, thank you, man. I'm trying. We trying to make sure that we stand on business over here and we continue to bring the historical facts. And that's what Claude Anderson is talking about right here. Dr. Claude was saying there is a historical documentation that we can follow that shows us how they were trying their best to continue to make us the lowest class. All right, of all people, we not playing with y'all, man. Come on, bro.
So, of course, I should say, if we look at the historical record,
make sure you guys subscribe.
It becomes clear that blacks certainly didn't work to engineer their own demise in America. It was pretty much a construct based on second class, third class status that we had in society as the labor class, the free labor class, basically. You address that quite extensively in this book.
Labor.
Yeah, we were always, see, we've operated off a base of a three-tiered structure. We had the elite class, or the aristocratic class, then we had the management class, which was made up of poor whites, and we had the working class, which was black folks. See, black folk were the working class, contrary to the popular myth up until about the civil rights movement. Blacks were the working class. Now,
we were the working class, okay? We were the ones who built this country. We were the ones who created the infrastructure and also the economy. I talked about that on my channel. I have a video right here on how foundational Black American slaves built the economy of the United States of America, or what they call it today. All right. So when I always speak about what we built, it wasn't just about houses. It was about economics, family. What we built here was not just no houses and railroads. There were entire economies built around what foundational Black Americans were doing as the working class in this country. Okay? And it cannot be forgotten. And that's why I get so upset when people try to talk about Black Americans don't got no power. We don't run nothing. How is that possible then, when an entire economy, the greatest country to ever exist, was built on our backs? How is that possible? Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. You might not understand it because you don't know history. But on my channel, I'm not going to allow you guys to have that argument. Okay, let's go.
After the civil rights movement and blacks became obsolete, now poor whites and some of the other whites are claiming that they are the working class in this country. But they were not. They were supposed to be the management class up until that point in time. Blacks were the labor class in the society.
It's in.
Hey, salute to my cousin. I think this is my cousin in the chat right here, but he said, do y'all see Ghana trying to co-opt the reparations? Madness. Yes, sir. Hey, if this is you, Darrell, I don't know. That look like you. That look like you, Darrell. I don't know if that's you, bro, but that might be my cousin, my first cousin. Hey, salute to Go J, though. Salute. Hey, but yeah, that's facts, man, because it's real. Like the Ghana is on some other type time, man, for real, for real. I don't know what they trying to do. I saw that as well. I saw this UN meeting about reparations. Like I said, y'all better pay attention. Y'all better pay attention, because what they doing right now, you already know. You already know what it is, man. Hey, salute to Torian. He says, to all the lurkers, make sure y'all hit the like And if you like the content, hit the subscribe. Yes, man, because we know what, like I said, what I'm doing right now, you already know what this is not content you're going to get anywhere else. Okay. This is, I swear to y'all, I take extensive time to do research, to bring all these interviews up, to make sure that I'm giving you guys information that makes sense for you guys to be able to understand, man. Come on now. Let's go. Ghana has no business inserting themselves in any reparations talk. They were co-conspirators in the transatlantic slave trade. Yes. Yes. 100%, man. And this is why I said history is so important in our arguments, right? If we are talking amongst ourselves, it's very easy for me to be able to express what's going on and how it looks, right? But what we're not going to do is allow anybody to disrespect the work, okay? And not only that, the entire government, how they conspired against our people, how they are still conspiring against our people today. We're not going to allow that. Ghana is attempting to co-opt the FBA movement and attach themselves to an energy they could not create on their own. That's facts, man. Hey, yeah. Hey, you look like my cousin, bro. That's why I seen the profile pic, and he in the Navy too. That's why I was like, dang, is that my cousin? But hey, salute to you, man. Appreciate you. And I hope you subscribe to the channel, man. I really do. But yes, man, that's great information because, like I said, that came across my timeline too. Maybe we'll do a live stream about it because, like I said, the rule of the day is foundational Black Americans standing on tangibles. Now everybody else want to get these tangibles. Ain't it funny? Let's continue to listen to our elder, Dr. Claude Anderson.
Interesting that you bring that up, but wouldn't it be fair to look through the tunnel of history and see that certainly poor whites have worked hard in this country and have had to come up through some of the same kinds of tyranny that blacks have experienced in America?
Oh, yes, they have. You will always have some poor whites because that's a class issue. That's not a race issue. Mm-hmm. See, if it had been a race issue instead of a class issue, then why didn't you have poor whites out there picking cotton along with blacks? Why weren't they enslaved? Why didn't you have poor Indians? Why didn't you have poor Asians? Why didn't you have poor Hispanics out there in the field with black folk? It was a racial issue, not a class issue.
When you take a look at what's wrong, and certainly the book does cover a lot of what's wrong with Black America, is it fair to say that at this time in our history, economically speaking, that blacks can, as we have been told to, pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps?
Listen.
Yes, you can. With what you do have, you don't have very much of anything. The wealth and power, resources in this society have been frozen since 1790. It has not changed barely one iota. Okay, that's
all right. So let's talk about this. All right, let's talk about this. All right. When we hear these conversations, like I said, these circular conversations from these other groups talking about what foundational Black Americans don't have and the power that we don't possess. It is a circular conversation because they do not include the history and the statistical data that backs up what we're talking about right now. I don't like having conversations that don't go anywhere. It drives me mad. Okay. I'm not one of those people who can just argue back and forth with a person. I don't like that. I have a very, I had to work on my temper. All right. But I have a very specific ideology that I subject myself to. And if a conversation is going nowhere, I will totally retreat from it and move on because it's not doing anything for me. So those type of conversations where people are going back and forth with people who come from countries where they're completely desolate, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. Not at all. I come from a specific lineage of ownership, okay, of independence, okay, and standing on business. All right. I don't have time for y'all people who want to just argue back and forth and your family ain't did nothing. You ain't got no blood in the soil here. Don't talk to me about stuff that ain't going nowhere. All right. When I can easily reference what Dr. Claude Anderson is saying about the wealth disparity that has not changed hands since the 1700s. Okay. And like I always talked about, Where was the wealth supposed to go? What were we entitled to as foundational Black Americans who came out of chattel slavery? What were our families supposed to be entitled to during those times? Yeah, that's where our money went. That's where our entitlement comes from, is the fact that we are still owed for what all of our ancestors built here and are still building in 2026. Yet you got people who play games, who don't understand the history, and yet they want to get on here and argue. You don't even deserve to go back and forth with somebody like me when I've been studying this history since I was in high school, okay? You can't do it. It's not going to work. I'm not easily triggered in that way. You got to show me the work first before I can even address what you're talking about, because it's brothers like Dr. Claude Anderson who have wrote books about the power dynamics in America that are specifically targeted against foundational Black Americans. I don't got time for that. All right, I don't, bro. When he's been talking about this since the 90s, family. Since the 90s.
For instance, let's go back to 1860. On the eve of the Civil War. On the eve of the Civil War,
Right.
5% of the American population, the white population, controlled 24.6% of the wealth in the country. Now, after a Civil War, World War I, World War II, a Depression, Korean War, Vietnam War, and the Civil Rights Movement, it went up 1 point. Okay, so then it's 24 point something like 6. Okay, now at the same time, on the eve of the Civil War, Black folk at that time had 1% of the wealth. Black folk now, after that same point in time, all those social turmoils and international upheavals, Black folk now up to a little less than 1% still.
Less than 1%. All right, and this was in the 90s, and we already know what the statistics are today. Okay, the accumulation of wealth that the white establishment has been able to take and also monetize is something that we have always been speaking about. And all these other groups, they're cool with it. Like I said, they're fine. Foundational Black Americans, we're the only ones who have the balls to go out here and say something's wrong with the system. Something's wrong with the way that things are set up. Something is wrong with how our people are treated. We're the only ones, and we fight for everybody else. Yet they're so quick. Like I said, they're so quick to forget. And that's why I got to make sure I bring the history up for you guys, man. I have to, because it's not a game to me. I don't play with this type of stuff. This is very serious content. All right, this ain't just some stuff where we up here just saying whatever, trying to make time pass. This is serious content right here that everybody who comes around my channel needs to be watching and consuming this level of content. Take time on your own to do your own research and make sure that you're locked in.
Means we moved up less than 1/2 after all that turmoil in the world. So obviously the wealth is frozen in this society. Whites now control almost 100%, Daryl, of all the wealth, the income, the power, the resources, the privileges, the businesses, and all levels of government. Black folk do not have the sufficient wherewithal to be able to manage their lives and compete. Now, contrary to what anybody tells you, we cannot compete because we don't have it. It's not a question of that we are genetically inferior or inferior as human beings. It's that you do not have the appropriate tools and devices and controls and mechanisms to be able to compete with other groups.
But that's what I'll be talking about as well, right? When we talk about self-sufficiency, it ain't just about having one farm. It is a collective community of farms that we would have to create to have infrastructure so that if our food supply dies, there will be a foundational Black American windfall for us to fall back on. All right. And even on my channel, I talk about my family runs a food bank right here in Long Beach. OK, we will be giving out food this Saturday. All right. If you guys are in Long Beach, New Hope Baptist Church, please come by. We will be giving out food. All right. But the understanding and ideology behind that is to be able to be tapped in with food banks that are necessary to feed the community once we do see the landfall of the food shortages that are coming. All right. Let me tell you guys, they're coming. So make sure that you guys are staying locked in with your people, networking. All right. Making sure, hey, yo, I have a friend. He's a fisherman. Let me lock in with him. Let me lock in with the homie who's a carpenter and a plumber. Let me lock in with my homie who's a farmer. This is how you build a nation. Okay. This is how you do it. Like he said, with the resources and infrastructure that is necessary for us to be able to do what we need to do as a community. He also mentioned the political side of things. That's why I have a live stream right here on my channel that I did a couple of days ago about foundational Black Americans needing to be in these seats in the political spectrum. It is important for us because that is what helps us get the funding, the backing, and as well the oversight that's necessary to protect us from all of these predatory people who are coming in trying to infiltrate our communities, like we just saw from the COINTELPRO and the FBI and what they did to the Black Panther Party. Okay, I'm laying it out for you guys. I'm laying it out. I'm taking my time, but you guys see where we're going with this, right? You guys see how I started from the very beginning, and we're just working our way through the conversation based on the facts. All right. I don't got time to be having circular conversations that are going nowhere. I'm trying to link up with people that got farms. I'm trying to link up with fishermen and hunters. I'm trying to link up with carpenters and plumbers. All right. That's what I'm trying to do over here. I'm trying to build a network so that when things break down, foundational Black Americans will have a net to protect us and to keep us within our own community insulated from the BS. Because as men, that is our responsibility. All right. We have to make sure that the resources are created for us. Like I said, I don't care about other groups. They already have their infrastructure and what they feel their plan is. I'm going to use my platform to make sure that we are locking in with our people. Salute. You know what I'm saying? Salute. I don't understand. He says, yes, more FBA in politics. Yeah, we need FBAs everywhere. We need them everywhere, y'all. If you guys are inspired to go do anything, if you're a mechanic, if you're a coder, if you're in tech, if you're in the farming industry, if you are in carpentry, if you're in construction, you need to be locking in with us over here. All of us need to be working together. And like I said, I have direct resources to food banks here where I'm from in Long Beach. And as well, we are growing it. All right. We just received our 501(c) status. So I'm more ecstatic than anything for that. All right. Because the 501(c) is going to help us just expand and grow and be able to help more people in the community. All right. Because like I said, I come from a family of service. I don't come from a family that was rich or anything like that. I just came from a family that served the community and was able to live great from that. All right. And that's what we're doing. We're going to continue to serve the community. I do that right here on YouTube. I'm here as a service to you guys. Okay. Because at the end of the day, it ain't about me. It's not. It's about connecting our community and building. Community building starts right here. All right. It starts right here.
Certainly, we can look and see in this society where blacks are matriculated economically, educationally, politically.
Make sure you subscribe, y'all.
Oh, yes, most definitely there's some, because there's always going to be an exception to the rule. I mean, I've heard people ask me on different shows, Dr. Anderson, if things are that bad for black folk, well, how do you explain Bill Cosby and Oprah and Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan? What does that mean? What it means is white racism is not perfect. That's what it means. You'll always have exceptional blacks for a number of reasons. First of all, you'll have some exceptional blacks simply because they defy and beat mathematical probabilities, point one. Point two, you will have some blacks who will survive and do extremely well simply because whites want to be able to demonstrate that the society is not totally shut out against black folk, locked up against black folk. And thirdly, you will find there'll be some exceptional blacks who have been picked or chosen by some of the white power structures. Say, this is my black, this is a special black. Now, in history, we had a special name for those individuals that I talked about in the book.
Listen, is that not what's happening right now? Okay, like I said, this is from 1995, y'all. Is that not what's happening right now? Have we not seen so many of these influencers and content creators who have been getting exposed? Have we not seen so many of these people calling us generic Africans, but they want us to identify with Africa? Have we not donated to a lot of these people's establishments and schools and all types of things that we wanted to be great and we never saw them materialize? Are y'all with me here? Am I just like talking up here? Like, are y'all with me? Because I see it. Okay. There's a lot of people who are trying their best to infiltrate into the movement. Okay, who are trying their best to steer the movement and take us off of our square, to take us off of what's actually supposed to be happening right now. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be building community within ourselves to make sure that we are insulated from everything that's going to be coming in the future. All right. And like Mr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Claude Anderson saying right here, he already made it clear. In order for us to be able to reach the levels that we have to, we got to work together. And we can't do that if everybody's trying to tell us this and tell us that. Y'all ain't foundational Black Americans. You're African American freedmen and all this, bro. Get out of here. Get out of here, family. We trying to get something going over here with us, man. We don't have time to be going back and forth with people who ain't never did nothing with the platforms that they had. Y'all built these platforms for years, getting money, donations, and all this stuff, and you ain't even did nothing for the people. I seen people, this is so funny. I got to put this up to the full screen. I done seen people making videos hoping that Tariq didn't get the funding for his Hidden Colors movie. Just petty BS, man. Just because you don't like him personally, bro, get over it. Get over it. Get over it, dog. When you're hating on people like this, bro, it's starting to get weird. It really is. It's starting to get weird. Y'all obsession with him is getting very weird. And I don't know what's up with that. Like, y'all got to help me understand what it is, because people preying on people's downfall. Like, we're not finna do that, bro. Not at all.
Those what we call some ultra conservative blacks who see things strictly through the eyes of white folk. And they've learned how to subordinate themselves and to try their best to protect and maintain the status quo. And for that, they're rewarded by the white society.
Well, they've matriculated through the educational system. They've moved up through the political system. They've survived social penury, and they've gone on to achieve something. Isn't that worth something?
Oh, most definitely. But see, unless it's tied back and networked back into the larger black body, it has very little impact on black folk.
Why?
Come on now. Come on now. Wasn't I just talking about that? What is the point? All right. There is a proverb in the Bible. What is the man to have the world and lose his soul? Huh? What is the point to have everything and not have anything inside? Be dead to your people. Be dead to everybody else except yourself. How are we supposed to grow as a community when we have so many successful Black Americans who do nothing for us? I have so many videos on this channel speaking about the power structure and all these celebrities and successful Black Americans who've done nothing for our community. All they did was enrich themselves and ask for more. When are we going to start holding them accountable? When? Because, like I talked about the argument earlier, they're going around telling us that we don't have any power, yet we see all these powerful Black Americans, and what are they doing for the community? Y'all got to help me understand, man, because that's really something that really makes me upset, man. FBA's biggest problem is not coming together like other races. Hey, man, but other races don't come together. Let's keep it a buck. We don't need everybody. We don't. We just need a specific amount of people who are going to stand on business, and everybody else will follow suit. All right. We got to stop with this everybody needs to be on the same page thing. No, we just need a couple of people who are going to be focused enough to get the job done, and then everybody else will follow suit. Okay, that's just how it is. All right. Everybody isn't always going to be on the same page, but what we can do is have a specific amount of people, a core group who are going to be able to fight the good fight and do what's necessary to get what we need to get done. And then everybody else can follow right behind it. Because guess what? In history, that's what happened. Not everyone supported Martin Luther King. Not everybody supported Malcolm X. Not everybody supported Fred Hampton. Okay? Let's keep it real here. And a lot of people don't support Dr. Claude Anderson. But that's okay, because we don't need everybody. We only need a specific core group of people to get out here, do the work, get the job done, and then everybody else will follow suit based on the example that has been set. All right? Let's make sure that I make that statement right here. Okay? I'm not looking for everybody to be down, because I know everybody isn't going to be down. I understand how the government works. I understand what they've done in the past. I saw how COINTELPRO has come into plenty of organizations and been able to stop their forward movement. So with that being said, no, we don't need everybody. We need a specific core group of people who are going to stand on business. Everybody else can follow behind that. That's how I feel. And y'all let me know in the chat if I'm tripping. Okay? Y'all let me know, because history tells me otherwise. All right? History tells me that there are people they can hire who look like us to come and do harm to us. This is just facts. Like, I'm not going to play them games, man.
Do you think it is that blacks then do not tie their successes individualistically as they may be viewed back into the group?
Because black folk have bought into a lot of the basic premises in the Constitution, which says that to be successful, it must be based on what an individual can achieve in and of his own. That is not true. At the same time, black folk were being subjected as a group in this country when the Constitution was being drafted and implemented and approved. You had something like about 3 million black folk who were subjected to slavery. So then, see, whites have never as a group been enslaved in this nation. So they had a right to be able to go out and experiment and achieve, and as far as their God-given rights would give them, and allow them to. But see, racism means race. It comes from the word group, and blacks are still perceived as a group in this country. We went into racism, we went into slavery as a group. We went into Jim Crowism as a group. We can only come out as a group.
Listen, man, and that's important. Like I said, like, everybody ain't gonna go. All right, everybody's not going to be down for what we got going on. A lot of people do not like what's going on with Foundational Black Americans. They don't. Okay. So once I started to see that, once I started to let go of this ideology of all of us being one and togetherness, I started to realize that the goal is to do the work that I can personally, and then I'll build whatever I can on my own. Right. But once I reach a certain point, I'm going to have to seek out some advisory and help from others. And that's why having platforms like these, building a platform, is important, because I can reach out to y'all and y'all can let me know what I'm doing, if I'm on the right track or not. Okay? We can work together in our own ways, right? And like he said, we will always be considered a group. So if that's how it is, if it's a group way of going and a plan and tangibles that we're chasing, we all collectively can do the work with our own factions and industries that we work in. Okay? I'm here giving as much as I can of myself to you guys, but this is a sacrifice. We all got to sacrifice something. Okay? And you have to be willing to sacrifice, because our ancestors made the ultimate sacrifice for us. So the thought process behind that is, I'm willing to sacrifice my time, money, and resources to be able to get on here and spend time with y'all so that I can grow a community, so that we can eventually grow it into something major. Obviously, my little channel over here is very small in comparison to a lot of other people's platforms and channels. But at the end of the day, I have a plan and a vision of where I want to go. And it's going to happen with you guys' help. All right? I can't do this alone. So when I speak, I'm speaking from that point, that perspective. And it's like, yo, like, yes, I wish everybody was going to be down. But I learned, even through making content, that a lot of people ain't going to support you who you thought were going to support you. Okay? You're not going to get the same feedback that you thought that you were going to get. Okay? So with that being said, I have to keep pushing forward regardless, because like I said, I have a goal. I have a specific idea that I want to accomplish, and it's going to happen. Trust me.
And individualism has no significance unless it's not tied back into trying to help that group come out of that deplorable condition.
Then because we just don't have enough time to address everything that I would like you to address, if we take a look at a few points and just summarily talk about them. For instance, what's wrong with blacks politically in America, and why haven't we made more strides?
Because for a number of reasons. First of all, because we still tend to think that partisanship is important to black folk. And but whites do not place as much importance on partisanship, political partisanship, as we do. See, when black folk did not belong to any party, and they were independent, they were enslaved. From 1618 up until 1866, blacks were slaves. They didn't belong to any party, and they got slavery out of it. From 1866 to 1936, about 96% of all the blacks in the United States belonged to the Republican Party. What they got was Jim Crowism out of it. From 1936 up to 1996, almost 97% of all the blacks in the United States belonged to the Democratic Party. What they've gotten is benign neglect. So partisanship is not.
This was in 95. Okay, this was in 1995, y'all. And this is still happening till today. All right? Black Americans were independent. We didn't have no party because they did not represent us. They saw us as less than human, both parties. Okay? So the fact of the matter is, when I see people trying to, create this understanding of partisanship, it doesn't work if we don't have our own party. If we don't have our own independent party separate from all of this, chaos that they got going red and blue. It doesn't affect us or help us in any way, no matter which way you vote. Y'all help me understand. If you voted Republican, did it help you in your situation get better? If you voted Democrat, did it help you and your situation get better? Y'all got to let me know in the chat, because I'm independent and I already saw the writing on the wall. I know what's going on. But at the end of the day, who am I going to vote for? Who identifies with me if none of them do? If none of them are speaking about tangibles from Foundational Black Americans, if none of them are including us in their plans for the future, why are we voting for them? Why are we giving them our support? Why are we not making steps to create our own independent voting bloc? I mean, what sense does that make? It's insanity, man. We're doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, and it's not coming. All right. No one's going to save us except ourselves. Nobody's going to come and say, all right, black people, it's your time now. No, it's going to be us. We have to do it. So let's get it cracking. Like, come on, man.
Not the issue. The issue is that black folk have never had an effective strategy for dealing with white racism in this country. That's the issue. And we have never sat down and say, how do we go about dealing with structural racism? If we are the only planned minority in the country, as I just indicated to you a few minutes ago that we were planned into it by a public policy, which said that the quota on black folk is zero. You're not going to have anybody going abroad, bringing black folk through refugee programs into the United States from Somalia or Ethiopia or from Haiti. You're not going to do it, because they're fearful of blacks. There's a quota on blacks in this country. So we have never sat down and said, how do we win as a minority? You can win as a minority population if you learn and find out how it's been done in the past. Jews are a minority religious group, but they do win. The National Rifle Association is a minority social civic group, but they do win. The wealthy elite in this country is a minority group, but they do win. When will we sit down and strategize? How do we win as a minority?
Listen, that's the conversations that I'm trying to push us towards. All right. It's very easy to get on here and cook everybody from the African diaspora. It's very easy to cook Latinos and Asians. Very easy. They can't fuck with us in that. But what we do need to start doing is shifting the conversation now to how are we going to now present and make sure that we're creating plans to get what we need. All right. And like I said, that's why I always come back to it. Anti-Black hate crime bill, reparations and cash payments, and land grants. Okay. We also, like I said, we need a core structure for business funding. Okay. Because we need more black businesses in our community that we can support so that money circulates in our communities. And we cannot do that the same way that they do, because they get the funding. All right. Like I said, on Sunday, we did a whole live stream about the fraud that is going on in these communities where they're taking over $222 billion right here in Los Angeles that are going to immigrant communities to have these faux businesses. It's time for us to focus on this, man. Yes, there must be some collective plan, 100%. And mind you, it only happens if we continue to push the line, right? If we continue to do the work, if we all are on one accord saying, hey, yo, like, I understand what you're saying, B, and we definitely need to be on that, because right now it's very easy to just go back and forth and just talk. But what's not easy, okay, is creating a collective plan and an ideology for us to push forward on, for us to make sure that, hey, man, look, this is what we got to do. This is what we need. And these are the type of things that we want in our community. How do we create them? And how do we make sure that we hold the white establishment in the United States of America accountable for all of the atrocities in our past and currently right now? That's just what it's about, man. Because I'm like I said, I'm not with the circular conversations no more, man. I'm focused on how we gonna build straight up.
And I guess perhaps the more operative word in that sentence might be, how do we win as a group?
That's right, as a minority group.
Now, do blacks have to act in concert then? Is what you're saying? Blacks have to act in concert if they are going to stave off becoming a permanent underclass.
That's right, because that's how you perceive. You must deal with the realities of life. You are perceived as a group. And you must act like a group. You must do everything in block. You must practice group economics. You must practice group politics. For instance, in politics, what I would tell blacks to do is just the opposite of what everyone else is telling them. Never divide yourself. Anything that divides you weakens you. You live in a society where the social premise is that the majority wins and the minority loses. Okay? Now, never divide yourself along political lines. Stay as a block. If necessary, go independent. Do not split yourself up among the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and Independent Party. You're weaker now than you ever were. Vote as a block.
As a block, okay? As a block, not, oh, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, no, I'm a independent. No. Foundational Black Americans need to collectively have our own party separate of all these other, groups, and focus on our tangibles that are necessary for the growth of our community. Nobody else should be able to come in here telling us what we need and what we don't need. If you vote for me, yeah, we're gonna do something for you, but we're gonna do something for everybody. No. We need to know what you're gonna do for foundational Black Americans who are here in America, who are born in America, who are true Americans. We need to know what you're gonna do for our veterans. We need to know what you're gonna do for our homeless population. We need to know what you're gonna do for the young, up and coming career people who now want to purchase homes and live here in America. What are you going to do for them? What are you going to do for them? I need to know. And that's how we should be. That's how we should be coming every single time, man. Salute to Queen Nurse. She said, united we stand, divided we fall. 100%. 100%. And we're not, like I said, these circular conversations that go nowhere are not going to work. They're not going to help, especially not over here on my channel. Over here, we're talking about tangibles and how we can grow as a community. I don't care about, all this back and forth about where you from and bro, go. We know where we from. All right. If you over here on my channel, you definitely know where you from. You definitely know your lineage. So now let's talk about what we gonna do in a community to make our lineage and our community better. That's what we on over here.
Go out right now and register any and every black that can vote. Then pull yourself out of every party and hold yourself above both of the national parties and say, I don't care who runs for an office. We will deliver our vote as a block to whoever makes the greatest promise to black folk and deliver for us. That's who we'll vote for, and we will not tell you who we're going to vote for until the day of the election.
Facts. That's why I get so upset when y'all get out here wearing your little shirt, supporting these people who have never spoke on any tangibles for your community. Yet you going out here telling everybody who you gonna vote for, go vote for this person. No, We need to make sure that we are holding them accountable. What are you going to do for our community? How are you going to help our community? Our community needs this. Our community needs that. What are you doing to make it better? And if you're not, we ain't voting for you. All right. And we're not going to give you any opportunities to infiltrate our community without speaking on this, man. Hey, salute to the anti-black FBA. I don't know that name, bro. I don't know what that is, bro, but you don't come in here, bro, with that. That's very disrespectful. The anti-black FBA. I don't know what that is, fam. That's weird though. All right. Salute to Don't Understand. He says, and then they re-electing them. Hey, okay. Speak on it. Speak on that. All right. They are electing them. Okay. And that's the point. We cannot have any progress without them being held accountable for tangibles in our community. I'm gonna rewind that back because that's the real point.
Register any and every black that can vote. Then pull yourself out of every party and hold yourself above both of the national parties and say, I don't care who runs for an office. We will deliver our vote as a block to whoever makes the greatest promise to black folk and deliver for us. That's who we'll vote for. And we will not tell you who we're going to vote for until the day of the election.
So you actually exercise some leverage.
That's right. And you demand respect. And at that point in time, they'll watch you and they give some credence to the effects of your vote. And more importantly, you should also create an independent party in this country for black folk. So that whenever, if the
Ross, like Ross Perot,
if he runs
to Ross Perot, he's trying to do that.
Well, if Ross Perot runs, you're going to find a greatest move in this country to the independent parties. If a person runs for the Democratic Party, Republican Party, and Ross Perot runs, you got a three-way split. Run a black candidate in an independent party, and that way try to take the election with 26% of the vote. Demand respect from people. Whether or not you win or lose is not the point. Get your issues out there, support your own issues, and support your people as a group.
Listen, man, this is what I'm talking about, okay? Like I said, this was in 1995. Dr. Claude Anderson was spitting that hot fire, okay? Because this is so true, where we always think about, okay, who's going to be helping our community? What are they going to be doing for us? And et cetera, et cetera. Bet. Now we need y'all to actually follow through on that. And if not, we can create our own party and put up our own candidate. Didn't you guys catch that? Okay. We could have our own candidate. We wouldn't need to have some, person that they choose. If we have our own voting block and party, we can choose who our candidate is and put them up there. And like he said, regardless, win or lose, it don't matter. It don't matter. It's all about power and powernomics, showing a certain stature that you are willing and ready to go wherever you need to go. With 26% of the voting block, family, come on, man. What is we talking about? It will devastate the entire voting block. Salute to I Don't Understand. He says support the ones that actually do something. Many of them have been in office for years and haven't done anything to help. Yeah, man. Let's talk about Maxine Waters. You know what I'm saying? I want to do a video on her, but I can guarantee you I have friends who reach out to me who are in that, sector. They're going to be mad. So I got to be careful, but we already know what Maxine Waters doing. She about to be 90 years old and ain't done nothing for the community over here in Los Angeles for Black Americans. Hasn't done nothing.
Educationally, where are we missing it then? If part of the problem is blacks not being able to have political power and certainly not being able to have economic power, then a part of that equation has something to do with what's happening to us educationally in this country. Where are we missing it? And where do blacks have to go to get it?
We're missing it educationally because we've never sat down and discussed the historical relationship between us and the educational system in this country. Remember, the educational system was designed on a public policy that's gone in a complete circle, 360 degrees. First of all, we were denied education. Then we moved from a denied educational basis to desegregated education prior to the Civil War. Then we moved after the Civil War into segregated education. Then by the 1950s, we went back to desegregated education, and now we're back into a state of denial of education. Then I'm going to talk about dismantling the school system, going to voucher systems, going to some kind of private school system. What that means, Daryl, is that black folk fail to understand that that schools are not change agents. They're only doing what the environment wants it to do. Schools in this country, starting in the 1860s, were designed to create a manual labor force for whites.
Listen, man, I tell people this all the time, and people really just don't get it, is that it even starts from the school system. Like he broke it down perfectly, okay? There was times when it was illegal for foundational Black Americans to even know how to read. You could be lynched for that, all right? So now we have a time where now people are anti-reading, anti-literacy, anti-studying in school. Bro, do you guys not see what's happening? And that's why we do see such a degradation and a drop down from the intelligence level that we used to actually hold up, right? In our community, it was very important for our literacy and education, right? Now they could care less. And that's by design. Like he said, like they want to privatize education. And that's why, you know, I went to private school, right? I had parents who were good enough and had great enough careers to be able to put me in private school, all right? But at the end of the day, I understood that a lot of people from my community weren't able to have those type of privileges. So naturally, the public school systems, we already know what they are, but they could care less. And that's, man, let me let him cook, because like I said, I could cook all day on this type of stuff, but we focus on what Dr. Claude Anderson has to say, all right?
Period. Black folk became obsolete in the mid-1960s. They no longer need us as a labor class. So therefore, the schools are dysfunctional because they no longer need Black folk. If we really want to make our schools functional, we have to come up with a national public policy about what we want our schools to do for
Isn't
Black
that
folk.
a slap in the face to all the Black educators and administrators in big cities across this country who are in charge of school systems?
No, it's not, because nobody's ever sat down with them and say where it is that Black folk want to go. Suppose right now we want to, let's say if we had a national public policy on Black folk, just as whites have always had a national public policy on us. They've had a policy on us, but we never had one for ourselves about what it is that we want to do as Black folk. Suppose right now we want to go to the moon. Then once we decide where we want to go in a public policy, then it becomes incumbent upon all those educators and all those school systems to say, now what must our school systems do in terms of instilling in our kids the attitudes, the skills, the competencies to be able to get us to the moon?
Bro, this is what we've been talking about this entire stream. And I set it up this way. I set it up this way to make him as the end part, because the start had to be shown, right? We had to go through a timeline. And so now that we're here, and like I showed you guys the videos, remember you showed you guys a video of the teacher speaking to the young Black American boy, instilling in him the ideology and the understanding of what the actual plan is. That's what he's speaking on, is the fact that we need to have Black American teachers teaching Black American youth with a specific plan about what we're trying to do and what we want them for. Because like he mentioned, the school system, specifically the public school system, is set up to create just a working class, just for you guys to go out and get jobs so that you can keep the 1% rich and you continue to struggle. And what are we seeing right now in our current climate right now about people not having jobs that are necessary, struggling, making money? Nobody's getting the living wages that they can get to be able to live comfortably. That's by design. They want you to just be a worker. They don't want you to be able to be self-sufficient and independent. Okay? They don't want you to think outside the box and be a business owner. They want you to work a job and do a 9-to-5 for the rest of your life until you die. No retirement, no homes, no special treatment, nothing. Just work until you're dead. That's what they want. And we need to start thinking outside the matrix and start making it clear, hey, man, we got to start educating the youth to be able to have the school system in the backing so that they can get out of this same, like you said, a 360. We're just going in a 360. Same crap, just so that they can be able to have workers to work until they die, y'all. This is crazy.
See, right now, the schools are not delivering because they don't know what we want them to do. So the schools are dysfunctional. And that's why in Detroit, Michigan, for instance, 57% of all the Black kids that start the first grade in Detroit never graduate from high school. Where are the kids going to go? No one has ever told the schools what it is that you want them to do for Black folk. The schools are still doing using the same books, the same curriculum that they've been using for 100 years in the system. And now that you got an 80% black population in the city where it used to be about a 4 or 5% black population. Now you got to go back and say, hold on a minute, stop. What is it that you want the schools to do? And for black folk, now you have a predominantly black community, and we don't have that. And then you got to interlake that school system to the churches and to the business communities and to the civic organizations to help fulfill the demands of that community.
So you're talking.
Listen, man, and this is why I said it's so important, right? Like, understand, said modern day slavery, 100%, and that's a part of this. Is like there has to be a concerted plan, because even if you look now, they say that Black women are the most educated of all groups, right? Of all groups. But what are they doing as well in the back end? They are discrediting their degrees now, right? The RN is now not considered a serious profession, right? They're doing all this, right? Because what we do, we change the tables. We say, okay, y'all saying now you need a college degree. All of us are going to go to college and get degrees. And now what happened? Everybody who has a college degree, you can't even get a job. Do y'all not see what's going on here? Am I just like talking like, because this is exactly what I mean when I say there is a systemic programming that they used to always move the goalposts, right? They made us seem like, oh yeah, you get educated, man, you're going to be guaranteed a job. You'll live a great life and all this stuff. Now that ain't even enough. And guess what? With the student loans and how expensive college is, you don't think that was by design? You don't think that was to, come on, man. Let me stop, bro, because I'm gonna just keep going. And then come on, man. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? All right. This is all by design. Okay. Once they started to indoctrinate our community and thinking that all we needed to do was get a degree and our life would be good, they moved the goalpost. Now it's a whole new way. All right. And it's crazy because with, they're calling us DEI, but that just benefits white men. Okay. They got y'all up out the offices because of that. And now look. You feel me?
About linking all these institutions that exist in the Black community, but what are they, being undervalued or underutilized or ignored?
They must be interlinked. They must be interlinked with all of trying to achieve the same common objective. We don't have that now.
This is where this national public policy that you talk about in the book comes in.
That's right. We must have a national public policy that says the Black folk, we can be successful. We can be self-sufficient. We can be independent, and we can be competitive if we have a national public policy so that every Black knows what he has to do as an organization, individual, corporation to get us there.
That's a radical notion, and certainly you have met with some kind of opposition, not only without the white community, outside the Black community, that is from whites, but certainly inside the Black community.
Listen, man, and this is what I want y'all to understand here. We are dealing with not only the entire diaspora and all these other groups attacking us, but we also have other Black Americans who have been sitting up for many years, getting kickbacks, getting money and funding from all these other groups to not do anything for us, enriching themselves, and then being able to look down on us when we're trying to actually make movement and do something constructive with our platforms and with our time, right? And so now that's what I've been starting to see. I've been seeing more of this, right? Especially since the Foundational Black Americans have chose to delineate from all other groups. Now we're starting to see more and more of these other groups attacking us full stop. There is not a day that goes by that I don't see a video posted from some random person trying to talk down on Foundational Black Americans for no reason at all. Okay? There's never any tangible data or anything that they can bring to the table other than just saying, you guys are divisive and xenophobic. Bro, help us understand like what you mean, bro. Tell me, because from what I'm seeing, all we doing is focused on ourselves. All we doing is trying to grow our community. All we're doing is trying our best. But yet you guys got something to say. Like, it's crazy, man. And this is why it is very important that FBA are in political roles. Yes, continue to say it. I don't understand. Continue to say it because we see it. I see it. I see it every day on social media, even when I don't want to. All right. There are days when I get on social media, you know, you guys know I'm a surfer and I enjoy being out in nature. And that is a part of my grounding, right? What grounds me is being connected with nature and something that's pure and cannot be manipulated, right? That's how I ground myself, right? But then I get on social media and I see people talking reckless, all right? Talking reckless about foundational Black Americans with zero merit, no facts, just this all day. I don't have time for that. What we gonna do is speak on the tangibles. And like I don't understand said, we trying to infiltrate for real, all right? I'm thinking about the real things, okay? How are we going to better our community? How are we going to better our school systems? How are we going to feed the children? How are we going to feed them not only with food, but as well with the education and the passing down of knowledge that is necessary for them to grow? That's what I be thinking about every day. That's what gets me up every day. That's what drives me to be able to sustain my own business and to be able to sustain this channel and be able to grow this channel is the motivation from what? You guys, Foundational Black Americans who be in my chat, who be in my comment section, who show me love. Y'all are so integral to my inspiration and my growth, man. You guys really do put a battery in my back, and I appreciate the support, man, because it's necessary. It's necessary because I mean this. I don't gotta do this shit. I don't gotta do this shit. I don't have to do this, man. I really don't. But I do this because I enjoy it and I want to continue to grow the community. All right. They're going to change everything. Look at Harvard. Yeah. We know that. We know that. And that's why, you know, when they say this whole DEI stuff, that ain't just about Black people. I want y'all to understand, okay? That ain't just about Black people. That's about bringing back nepotism. If you know, you know, all right? That's bringing back nepotism, all right? Look it up, okay? Because nepotism is one of the biggest components in not only these PWIs and all these other universities, but as well in corporate America. And I can speak about this because I worked in corporate America since I was 19 years old. All right. I got my first internship right out of high school. Okay. I can speak on this from a very, very real perspective, a direct perspective. Okay. And nepotism is one of the biggest reasons why they wanted to make sure that DEI became what it became, because they can now bring back their buddies, their sons' buddies, their fraternity brothers, their sorority sisters. Okay, I've seen it. I've seen it. It's not really that hard to understand. Yes, first education is at home. Yeah, man. So y'all need to make sure y'all educating y'all babies, man, because the school systems ain't gonna do it. They're not. They're not. So make sure you take the extra time that's necessary with your children. Okay, make sure you are doing that.
There have got to be people who disagree with your assertions.
You know, the funniest thing about that, I would have anticipated that initially, you know, but at this point in time, after 1 year of running around all over the country and out of the country, and the book right now is #1 and #2 in Black America. It is also #1 in Barbados, Bermuda, and Brazil. And I've just gotten back from Brazil with the Prime Minister, and the Speaker of the Parliament sent me a letter. And now I just got a letter now from the governor in Brazil. Let me tell you one thing. I have not had one single Black publicly to disagree with anything in the book or disagree with the point of the Institute that's going to try to move Blacks across this country in a totally different direction. We're going to move collectively. And I've got millions of Blacks now around this country who I've made contact with through various forms of media, public appearances, who said, we are with you 100%. We're going to turn it around. We can do it. We're going to be a competitive group. We're going to rebuild our own communities. We're going to rebuild our schools and our communities and our businesses and interlink them. And we're going to come out with pride, self-sufficiency, and competitiveness.
And I feel bad, man. I feel bad about this because a lot of the dreams that he had, they didn't realize them. And that's just facts. And that's why I said, you know, there was a lot of time that has passed. You feel me? A lot of time that has been given. And a lot of people have not done anything with it. And that's why it's important, you know, for me. I can't speak for everybody else, but I think it's important for me to make sure that with my platform and with my time, and hopefully you guys can start donating to the channel and all this good stuff, that we do the work out here. because I've seen so many people make these climbs and not do anything, not try to connect any dots. All right. We ain't going to do that over here. We're going to make sure that we doing what we can with our community and what we can with our platforms to be able to connect those dots. And like Claude Anderson says, like, I feel bad because I can only tell from 2026, a lot of those plans that he had were not realized. And that's because a lot of people just be talking. That's just facts.
What about the millions more who say we can't do it? There have got to be multiplied millions of people who say blacks in America are just too divided to buy into this. This sounds oversimplistic. It sounds like pie in the sky.
You're going to have a lot of people say that. And they would probably fall into 2 or 3 categories. First of all, you can have people who've given up to the realities of our conditions, who said simply things are that bad for us. It's best for me to go side in with the other conservatives in the country and just live with that reality. You're going to have that. You're going to have others who are vested, they're in that small quota. As I said, in the integration process, whites prefer 0 blacks, but they would tolerate somewhere between 5 to 8%. Now, blacks who've integrated into the system and now vested because they are rather comfortable in their material accumulations, they're going to be resistant. Okay.
This is what we're seeing. Like I said, it is crazy how all this stuff, these predictions that he made are coming true, because we see it right now. A lot of people got paid. Okay. A lot of people, they're in the pocket of all these other groups. And so when Foundational Black Americans decided to delineate, that's messing up their bag. Okay. That's messing up their support. All right. That's messing up a lot of things that they're invested in. And so when we come and we say, nah, bro, we not doing that no more. We got to focus on ourselves. Y'all who on that whole Pan-African stuff, that just ain't work for us. It hasn't worked for us. Look at our community. Look at what we going through. They've done nothing for us. So we got to focus on us. And that's messing up a lot of people's whole ideology. Okay. The Prince of Pan-Africanism. All right. His bag is completely messed up because of this. And let's keep it real, because of his shortcomings and him not following through on what a lot of people needed him to. All right. Queen Nurse, many people were not yet awakened at that time. That's facts, man. They weren't. A lot of people had zero knowledge of self. They're very invested in the white establishment and the oversight of assimilation. And look, we're still dealing with those people today. They're still alive. They're still here. Okay. They're still a part of our community. And we got to make sure that we hold them accountable. And if they're not ready, they need to get out the way. All right. You need to get out the way if you're really not ready for what we got going on. And that's just facts. Those are going to be the hardest ones to convince. Facts, man. The ones that are comfortable, they will be the biggest opponent. Yes, 100%. And they are right now. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. Like I said, I see every single day somebody coming out and doing their best to try to debunk or expose Foundational Black Americans. And it's like, how can you expose a lineage? How can you debunk something that is a part of who we are? You can't. And that's what makes them so upset, man. And we got to make sure that we stay on code with that. Hey, salute Turian, he says, and stay out the way. Yes. Yes, 100%. Like I said, I'm out here in California and I saw what they did to Nipsey Hussle, man. You know what I'm saying? I saw how they did him. You feel me? Somebody who was trying to do something great in our community, and they found a way to take him out the way. And that's the key component, man, is doing what you can, contributing to the community, and making sure that you stay safe. Because we already saw, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, COINTELPRO is still very, very integral in the FBI and how they watching us and how the oversight is, how they're looking, how they're in our chats, how they're in our videos, how they're in our comments, man. They're on the internet just like we are. Okay. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. All these people in here right now, who I'm not guaranteed that all of them agree with what I'm saying up here. Right. So I have to take that with a grain of salt and I have to understand that what we're doing right now, everybody can't go. Everybody's not going to be in unison. everybody's not going to support what we got going on. And it's very obvious at this point. And mind you, that's why something from my perspective, I don't even give it energy no more, because I don't even want them to think that they are even affecting anything I got going on. And that's just how I move. You know what I'm saying? So salute Queen Nera. She says, we should know their playbook by now, 100%. And that's why earlier in the stream, I had to bring all this data and all this historical facts to make sure that I showed you guys the pattern, right? That I showed you guys how the FBI and the CIA and the police department conspire against us when we are doing productive things for us, okay? When we're working for them, when we're going out of our way to help everybody else, they ain't got no problem with it. But when we focus on ourselves, you see how they act, all right? You see that. Hey, salute to DS Ride Service. He says there was a recent restaurant that opened in Nipsey's name, and there was a shooting at the grand opening. Yes, sir. I talked about it right here on my channel, and it was in Long Beach, where I'm from. Okay? We saw that. And guess what? The entities that were surrounding that, okay, zero respect, okay, for the city, for Black Sam and what he's trying to do in the name of Nipsey, and no respect for his people. All right. This is what this all comes back down to. And like I said, everybody can't go. And we're gonna, as we grow, we're gonna be dealing with these people. We're gonna see them on our ascent to higher plateaus. Okay. We're gonna be having to address them at some point. But right now, I'm just keeping it a buck. Right now, my focus is collective movement and collective building, okay? Because I don't have time for these people who, like I said, they ain't gonna like me regardless. So I can't be focused on them. I have to focus on the ones who get it. We have to focus on the ones who are willing and ready to work on ourselves, and who are willing and ready to contribute to our communities, who are willing and ready to take things to the next level, all right?
But unfortunately, I've not run into any of those yet. Then thirdly, you're going to find Black folk who are going to simply say that I'm just either too tired or too indifferent to do anything. And what I would say to all three of those groups, stay where you are. There's an old rule in social dynamics that says if you want the same results, keep doing the same thing. And right now, Black folk are not progress in this country, contrary to myth.
Oh man,
we're in terms of quality of life and the social discomfort index, we are where we were in about 1840s. So keep standing and waiting, because the wagon is coming. I can guarantee you that the Jesse Helms and the Newt Gingrich and some of the far right-wing groups in this country are making preparations for Black folk. So you tell those who don't want to join the movement and try to change our conditions in this country, make Black folk self-sufficient and competitive, you sit there and wait for them to come get you, because they're going to come.
Dr. Anderson, it's been enlightening and it's been controversial.
All right, so I'm gonna have to stop that, you know, because music, they be on that, you know what I'm saying? But hey, look here. So the goal, right, and what I'm trying to like speak on is there's a very, very specific understanding that foundational Black Americans have come to, right? And now that we are here, we can see now that, like I mentioned, there are a lot of people who are going out of their way to distract, to try to take us off of our elevation, right? Like Queen Nurse says, separation is elevation, 100%, 100%. We are now starting to create our own spaces for us to focus on ourselves and to gain what? A level of literacy and intellectual property that we can now be able to take and call our own. We don't have time for anybody else to be out here trying to distract us from what's important. And that's why I always come on my channel. I'm staying on code. I'm gonna make sure that I bring that every single time. Hey, salute to DS Ride Service. He says, we can't separate unless we pull our resources and do for self, like the messenger told us to, 100%. And that's what I was talking about. You know, we can only talk so much. At least I can only talk so much, because I'm a doer. I'm not a talker. Anything that I say, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to actually take action on it. So with that being said, You are completely right, DS Ride Service. We definitely need to make sure that we are pulling all of our resources together to make sure that we can sufficiently separate and be completely independent from everybody else. And that's why I said, you got a business, you got land, you a farmer, you are a carpenter, you are a plumber, you are a person who works in tech, coding, whatever you have to bring to the table. Now is the time to bring it forward so that we can start connecting and closing ranks, so that we can start building those networks that are necessary for us to be completely independent from everybody else, y'all. That's what it needs to happen. And that's why it's so important, at least for me, to put that message out here, because that is what is going to help us grow and connect, right? Your resources, my resources, we put them together, and then we can actually have something. You know what I'm saying? Hey, salute to American Ninja. He says, we can separate and it starts mentally. Yes, it's already started, brother. It's already started. We already know that. It's already started. We have already started mentally separating ourselves from everybody else. Now it's starting where economically we have to, politically we have to, financially we have to, everything that we can to be able to start moving and doing what is necessary physically. That is what is going to help us grow more than anybody can describe at this point, man. Seriously, because like I said, I got people in the chat coming in here, like I said, trying to distract. I just blocked them. I'm not even going to bring them up on the screen no more. We ain't finna be having these conversations and arguments with these people who just want to take us off of the actual point. All right. And what is the point? Foundational Black American power moves. All right. Power moves. We not thinking small no more. This is chess, not checkers. Okay. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going back and forth with these people no more. All I'm thinking about is the power moves that we got to make. And I'm using my platform to set that up for y'all so that we can now connect, work together to try to be able to build. All right. And what we building, you already know what we building. Salute American Ninja. I work as a counselor, trying to get our young men off these drugs. Hey, appreciate your services, family. You are needed in our community. And I thank you for using yourself to help others, man. Like I said, I come from a family of service. My mother worked for the Los Angeles County of Mental Health for Children. She retired from that, okay? My father, he was a police officer, okay? And he did everything he can in his community to help and take kids off the street, giving them other avenues to be able to grow. And he's now a pastor, okay? And like I said, this Saturday, we will be having a food giveaway at my church, New Hope Baptist Church, 1160 East New York Street in Long Beach, California. All right. So anybody in need, if you guys need anything, please come and see us. All right. It's going to be from 10 to 12. All right. Right in the morning. If y'all need it, if you need help, do not feel too proud. Okay. We do this. We've been doing this for a very long time. So that's what we do. All right. This is who I am. This is a family I come from. All right. And this is what we do in the community. Okay. This is how we help. And that's just what I do. Everybody else should be doing your part. And then, like I said, collectively, we can all come together and get this work done for our community. All right. Salute to Janie Marshall. Thank you. FBA all day. FBA all day. We here for it, and we here to support one another. And I hope, like I said, I hope you guys subscribe to the channel, man. We are very close to our goal of 1,000. We are, I think, about 2 people away. So all I need is 2 people to subscribe, man, and we in there, man. Salute. Hey, DS Ryder, he says, my dad passed too early. He was a World War II veteran, a fireman, policeman, and security officer. Yeah, man, this is who we are. You know, my dad, he's a veteran. He was he was in the Marines. He is a Vietnam veteran. He came back and he went and he worked in aerospace for a little bit. And then he said, you know what? I want to clean up my community and help. He became a police officer and was doing a ministry with the police. Okay. Really trying to help and did what he can. And now, like I said, he's a pastor. Okay. At one of the most and oldest historically Black churches in Long Beach, California. We are very proud of our church and the people and everybody who is associated with our community. We're very proud people. All right. So naturally, coming from that, from a family of service, my job now, at least when I started to think about how I was going to build my platform and the way that I wanted it to be built, I said, yo, I need to definitely make sure that I use this to generate back into what we already do, which is helping the people and giving back. All right. Now, listen, you know, a lot of people, you know, they do a lot of different things. We salute Tariq. He's a filmmaker, an author, and a great historian. We salute all the other, you know, content creators in this space who are doing the work as well. But like I said, with my platform, I have to make sure that I let you guys know what I'm on and how we're going to get to this and how we're going to make sure that we build our community. Okay. And I need you guys to do your part, because if not, we're cooked. All right. Our future is uncertain. So make sure that we do the work so that we will be solidified and secure when things do get bad. You know what I'm saying? Salute. Hey, Noriel, what part of the South does your family come from? All right, we'll start here. All right, so my mom's side, actually, I got a little something right here just to make sure. Okay, so the origins started in Albany, Mississippi. All right, that's where my mother's side originally started from. That's where we were on plantations in Albany, Mississippi. Then my great grandfather. All right, hold up. I think I got a little something for y'all. Let me show this for y'all. Hold up. Let me take this down, and then we're gonna bring this up. All right. So look, this is my great grandfather. Okay, and as you see, the little light-skinned one on the bottom with the red hair, that's my great grandmother. Okay, so he escaped from Albany, Mississippi, and came to Clarksville, Texas. Okay. And in Clarksville, Texas, that's where our family just grew. All right. And mind you, this is a photo of 4 children, but he had 18. Okay. 18. All right. So this is from a family of 18. Okay. So look, go from that. All right. So then we go to my dad's side. My dad, I'm gonna take that down because we gonna, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna pay respects. My dad, he is from Peoria, Illinois. His family came from South Carolina. All right. And as well, and we have some also lineage I just heard about in Louisiana. So I got double South, but obviously my dad's side, they went up north. My mom's side went to the west. Okay. So when my dad was in the military in San Diego, he met my mom, and the rest is history. Now your boy is here. You feel me? But overall, yeah, that's where we from, man. Mississippi. You know, we got roots in Alabama. We got roots in Louisiana, obviously. Texas. A big chunk of our family's from Texas. It's just, you know, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? You already know what it is. All right. My dad was from Indianola, Mississippi. My mom's from Tennessee. Yes, sir. That's what it is. 662. Stand up. You already know what it is, man. Mississippi roots here. Yeah, that's just where we from. Like, you got to understand that Mississippi in general was a place where a lot of us came from, and there was a lot of turmoil going on right there. Actually, since we're talking about it, I might as well bring up this other video before I get up out of here, man. So let's bring this one up. Another video, because like I said, I just was doing so much research, y'all. I be locked in. I be locked in on the research so hard. I just be digging and finding all this type of stuff. Hey, salute to Gary, Indiana, man. Salute. I got homies out in Gary. You know what I'm saying? Salute to the homies in Gary, Indiana, man. That's fam out there. Hey, salute to Michael Jackson, one of the most famous person from Gary, Indiana. You already know what it is, man. All right, so look. I got another video for y'all. just before I get up out of here, all right? Just before I get up out of here, we're going to do a quick video. I might just let this one play all the way through. I don't know, but we're going to definitely play this one, all right? So look, let me get this, because since we talking about Mississippi, right? Since we talking about Mississippi and we talking about foundational Black Americans, right? Let's talk about it, all right? My folks moved up in the 40s. Yeah, man, that's just what it was, bro. You know, I know, at least from what my dad tells me and my aunties tell me, when my dad's side came up from South Carolina to Peoria, Illinois, that was just the track. A lot of them went up to Chicago, Peoria, Aurora, and that was like the budding area for Black Americans in Illinois at that time. Okay, so look, let me bring this video up for y'all. All right, so let me hold up, let me get it right. There we go. So the title of this video is When Mississippi Mirrored the Holocaust. Okay, but guess what? The Mississippi stories was before the Holocaust even happened. And that's why I always tell y'all about what the Germans, you know, the swastika ones, what they did was based on what happened to foundational Black Americans right here in America, all right? So let's hear the brother talk about when Mississippi mirrored the Holocaust, but actually the Holocaust mirrored Mississippi, if we're keeping it a buck. All right, so let's go.
Remove the ovens and remove the stars, and that's exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about a rigidly controlled society in which it was quite legal by, and I say that tongue in cheek, by Mississippi folkways and mores to do anything you wanted to do to keep Blacks in line. Let me talk about my community. As Christian Mississippi, very Catholic, labor union organizing, people returning at a couple of years, have returned a couple of years now from the army, where they've been exposed to the fight to make democracy safe for the world. Now they want to make democracy safe for themselves. In order to understand this, we have to look at a society that was entirely based on race, that was making a lot of economic sacrifices on education, both for Black and white children. $135 per year was spent for the education of whites. I think the number was $33 for the education of Blacks.
All right, so listen, man, listen how dire the situation was in Mississippi, okay? And here's the story. The story goes in my family, right? The story goes that my great-grandfather right here, my great-great-grandfather, hold on, let me make sure I bring this up correctly. My great-great-grandfather, the story goes that he escaped the plantation 3 times before he was able to get out of Mississippi, okay? 3 times. So when people talk about my spirit, and I always grew up as a feisty kid. That's what made me who I was on the football field. That's what made me who I was in the classroom. That's what made me who I was with my intellect. All right. I grew up with a very feisty mentality and just an energy. And that's because it is ancestral. Do you guys not understand this? It is ancestral. It is in me. I don't sit around. I'm not the person who's going to keep going back, just like my great-great-grandfather. That's the lineage I come from, okay? This is a part of my family stories that were passed down to me from my great-grandmother, okay? Who always told me, oh, you like my dad, you like Alphys. You got that Alphys in you. Yes, I do. 100%, because I ain't just gonna let nobody talk to me. However, I'm not gonna let nobody disrespect my lineage, and I'm for sure not gonna let nobody who doesn't understand history talk anything about what I got to say. Get out of here, bro. What are we talking about?
Totally separate school system. So, but there were people who were able to work within that system, but at the same time, constantly fight to get into the mainstream of America, specifically. If you wanted to register to vote in that time, and it was less than 3% of Blacks were registered to vote in Mississippi at that time, you had to agree publicly that you supported the platform of the Democratic Party, which was opposed to Fair Employment Practices Commission, which, as you know, was brought about to create economic opportunity and equality the Democratic Party made it impossible for blacks to legitimately and without a feeling of contradiction vote in the Democratic primary.
Listen, bro, I don't enjoy bringing these types of videos and information, but it's necessary. It is necessary that you guys understand the history and the things that we went through, because there's so much conversation that happens that just dances around the facts. And we're not going to do that over here. We're not going to do this on my channel. We're not going to let people just say anything about our lineage and not bring the history of what actually was going down. And that's why even when we were just talking about Dr. Claude Anderson, he speaks about this, is the fact that both of these voting parties, they literally are out to destroy our communities one way or the other. And yet we sit up here still trying to fight for people who never fought for us. All right. Who destroyed our communities, who worked together collectively to destroy our communities, our education systems, our economic systems, us building. But yeah, y'all want to tell me about who's going to be on the Democratic thing, or who's going to, man, please, bro. Voting for Donald Trump or voting for Joe Biden, it wouldn't have mattered because they both don't give a F about black people. It's just facts, man.
Then later we had, of course, the classic case of Smith versus Allwright, which opened up the Democratic primary.
Come on, man.
Which had previously been open only to white males. So, but there were forces that were fighting for integration even at that time. The Catholic Church was an interracial, open, progressive body, the only one in the state of Mississippi. I have historically identified the church with politics, and I find it very, very interesting that there's such a fight to separate it. And I think in the white community throughout this country, there's a real separation. But there's never been the same kind of separation in the black community. I think the classic example was the election of John Kennedy, because of his call to Coretta King and how the black church organized throughout the country and made the difference.
Now listen, he's talking about there's a separation within the white community. This is an old interview, probably from the 80s. It's the same thing is happening right now. There is a infighting that's happening within MAGA. There's an infighting that's happening within the Democrats. And guess who was the catalyst? Foundational Black American delineation has literally changed everything. Everything. Us separating ourselves and saying that we are our own group and that we don't want to have anything to do with anything unless it has to talk about foundational Black Americans, family. What are we talking about, man? Come on, y'all. You guys see it just like I do. And I'm not going to allow these people to play with y'all. We're not going to play with them. When forming the Nuremberg laws in Germany, they specifically looked at the Jim Crow laws and patterned it Listen, man, like I said, I have a video on my channel, a whole live stream I did about this. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people leave out these facts. And like I said, whoever patronizes my channel, y'all got intellect. You use your mind, you know your history, and you come here because you can be yourself and express it freely, because I totally speak and I'm locked in with you guys who speak on this because I already did the historical data that was necessary to bring it to the forefront. I just hope that you guys consume the content. That's all I can hope for. But at the end of the day, I'm so glad that y'all be in my chat. Just, hey man, let me go ahead and give you guys a round of applause for just being the greatest fucking, just the greatest audience to ever live, because y'all do it the right way. You guys come in here and spread knowledge and do it the right way. And I cannot be more thankful for you guys, because this is what my channel is for, bro. This is what we do it for. We do it because we understand the history. We know the history of these people. And we're not going to let y'all just try to, dance around it. No, let's talk about it. Hell no. Hey, DS Ride Service, he says that may be true to an extent, but Trump has done more for Black people than any president I remember. And I vote to keep the Devilcrats out of power because we will be controlled by Marxists and Islamists if they get back in power. Okay. And that is your right as an American to vote for whoever you choose to vote for. But I respectfully must disagree with you. Just respectfully, because nobody in the Black American community's life has been changed because of Donald Trump. Let's just keep it a buck. He said a lot of cool things, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate the whole birthright citizenship and all that great stuff. Thank you so much. But I want more. And guess what, Mr. DS? You deserve to ask more for too. All right? You deserve to get more from what's going on right now. You voting for him, you should get more. And we should ask for more. And we should continue to ask for more until we can't get enough. I want it all. And we deserve it all. And I'm not going to allow any of us to just be okay with what we got. We got to ask for more, y'all. We got to. Let me let this video finish, man.
Without the church, there would have been no civil rights movement. Once you get out of the sphere of the church, you're then into the grim world of reality, which said, okay, don't assume that there's police protection for you.
IDs,
if you're to be protected, you have to protect yourself. And you have to understand that all juries at this time are white. In order to serve on the jury, you have to be registered to vote. Well, in order to be registered to vote, you have to interpret any of the 285 sections of the Mississippi Constitution to the satisfaction of the registrar, some of whom were totally illiterate. But nevertheless.
Listen to this. Like I always tell you guys, it's different standards for us than it is for them. When we were going out trying to learn how to read, trying to expand our literacy and grow our intellect and as well just our overall status, they were so jealous of this. And that's why a lot of us lost our lives from that. A lot of us lost our lives from being smart and articulate and not allowing them to tell us when we can read for ourselves, but they couldn't even read. Okay?
That was the law. And later on, to make sure that even those who could read and write, there was a good moral character law, which said that even if you interpreted to the satisfaction of the registrar, all of the 285 sections of the Mississippi Constitution, any white person could then question your character. Of course, your name and address were posted in the newspaper when you registered to vote. So that if you owed any white person money, or if you could be, that loan could be called in immediately. Or if you were employed, your employer would know and you would be fired where possible.
Bro, I mean this when I talk about the history, man. It's never what, man, let's just talk about it. All right, my brother's brother, the devil would buy you an apple pie if that's what it'll take to fool you into thinking he'll do for you. 100%. 100%. And I was a part of it, man. Like I said, different standards for us than it is for them. And then on top of that, once we reach the standard, there's another loophole and all this other stuff you got to go through. Okay. Listen, man, I told y'all I worked in corporate America for a very long time. And when you come into a situation where you are confident, you're sure of yourself, you know what you're doing, and you're not taking no shit off nobody, trust me, you will be the first one that they try to target. Please believe me.
Seems like a ridiculous system. Ridiculous.
Well, it was ridiculous, except when you understand the logic behind it. The logic was, how do you control an identifiable group that on which you could become multimillionaires, providing they could be employed cheap, they could be totally controlled, and they would not be allowed to fight for equity in any court or anywhere else. So the peonage system was a reality, and that was the justification for it. That, you know, we're going to take good care of these people. Remove the other.
Listen, man, I just wanted that for y'all so that you guys could understand like what it was like in Mississippi for a lot of our people, man. A lot of us have roots that come directly from Mississippi, and like he said, the apartheid that was inspired was based on what was happening to our people in Mississippi, man. Everything that was happening as far as like when it comes to the Holocaust and the swastika Germans who had a problem, because I can't say the N-word, the other N-word on here without my videos being, you know, suppressed, okay? So look, they were inspired by what was happening to Foundational Black Americans, family. And I'm just on here to make sure that I let you guys know the history and that we don't play around when it comes to referencing these things, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because look, this stream was a very, very real one, and it was a very serious one. And I want to make sure that every time that we do a stream, it's not going to be serious like this, but this was one of them ones that it had to be this way, because like I said, I've been seeing a lot of conversations, a lot of people, especially in our spaces, Foundational Black Americans arguing with these other folks about, you know, us not having power and us not having any say so and us not having anything to, you know, say that's ours in the United States. I just debunked it. I just debunked every single talking point that they would have. And I want you guys to make sure that you use this video and the information that I gave you guys. For any of these other groups ever tell you what power do Foundational Black Americans have, we got a lot. We're going to be able to tap into it more if we continue to build it collectively. Okay? Collectively. We can only move as a collective if we continue to pay homage to our ancestors and make sure we keep our eyes on the prize. Okay? Not getting distracted by all of these other, you know, menial circular conversations. All right. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than us. Okay. So let's make sure we tapped in, man. All right. Salute to D's ride service. He says Trump had the lowest black unemployment rate, I believe, in history during his first term. Yeah, it's gone up now, though. The unemployment rate is insane right now in the black community, man. I might do a video about that, actually, because I saw somewhere where it said Black American men, our unemployment rates are the highest it's ever been. But I could explain more about that when we talk about DEI and as well corporate America, because like I said, I worked in corporate America since I was 19 years old. So I know how this goes. All right. Then Jim Crow and Jim Crow Joe and Ski Wee Scamala. Hey man, Jim Crow Joe is as real as it gets, man. That dude was different. He was a racist motherfucker. All right, American Ninjas honestly don't even want to argue with them. It's become exhausting. Facts, man. That's why you won't see that type of content on my channel anymore. Like, if we're gonna do debates, it has to be debates of some level of intellect, and it also has to be something where I have something to gain. Because I saw, at least just I've been seeing lately, that there's something like really weird. I would say the weird would be a good word. It's very weird, these arguments that they even bring up. It's not even like logical arguments. And so I genuinely can't like argue back and forth with people who aren't logically and intellectually on my level, because I'll get very upset very quickly and I'll just block them. You know, I don't like using that as content personally, you know, and that's no disrespect to anybody who does that as content, because I know that the debate space is a very like lucrative way to like get views. So I respect it. But just from a personal standpoint, I have to do it with somebody who's on my level intellectually. And it's just not a lot of them in that community that are on my level in that way. And that's just facts, man. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's just real. Low black unemployment rates was due to Obama that Trump inherited. Yeah, I agree. I think that obviously there was definitely some overlap, and that's why I said, like, whatever Trump's first term, that was his first term. But right now, I know for a fact that the Black unemployment rate is the highest that it's ever been, specifically for Black women and Black men. All right. Black women have lost so many jobs. It's insane. You know what I mean? Like, we're not even going to do that. You know what I mean? Hey, salute to Nord. She says, Nazi Germany. I hate saying that N-word, but they ain't going to get me for that. Whatever. Top theologian and key founder of the Confessing Church, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, learned how to combat the system by attending a Abyssinia Baptist church in Harlem. Yeah, man. Listen, it's crazy. Tethers are draining of energy and time wasters. Yeah. And that's why I don't like going back and forth. I don't like using my platform and time to appease them and try to prove to them how much I know. Like, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't even know you. Like, please go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could care less. I don't have anything to prove to anyone because my career and my accolades are rock solid. Like, I'm a real person. I wouldn't be on here with my whole face, using my real name and all this other stuff if I didn't have stuff that was tangible that you could find. All right. So at the end of the day, like, yeah, it means nothing to me to be going back and forth with these people when I know that they don't care. You feel me? They don't. They just want to argue and they want to, distract us from, like I said, the real actual goal. And the actual goal is, like I always come back to, all right, when we going to talk about it before I get out of here. Anti-Black hate crime bill. We need that. We need the reparations and cash payments and land grants, all right? And as well, we need the funding and oversight for businesses within the foundational Black American community to receive the funding and support like all the rest of these immigrant businesses that they can come over here and start and get money for it and be able to use all these loans and all these things that are just open to them. We need that too, guys. All right. And that's where it'll start. You feel me? It could start there. Obviously, we're all doing our own work easily and collectively. So that's what we need. Those are the three things for me. Y'all let me know in the chat and in the comments if there's anything that I'm forgetting, anything that you guys think we should be working on, and then we can go from there. But those three, for me personally, I know that that's what we need. All right. All right. So salute. Hey, exactly. Yeah, man, that's what we need. He says the Democrats gave the invaders our reparations. Yeah, they did. Like I said, right here in Los Angeles, they did a chart, and over the time period between 2021 and 2026, there has been over $222 billion that was given to these communities. You can't tell me that Black Americans can't do nothing with $222 billion. Y'all give us that money and let me show you something for real. Let me show you something for real. Let me show you what we can really do with $222 billion. All right. That's all I got to say. Like, that's all I got to say, y'all, is with $222 billion, we could do a lot. All right. I'm going to leave it there. Man. Hey, we made it to 1,000. Salute to y'all, man. We did it. We made it to our first, real big goal. We accomplished it. So thank you guys all for that, man. Applause. Thank you so much. You guys are the real stars of this show. Y'all did this. We made it to 1,000. Salute to y'all. We definitely going to do a 1,000 subscriber show. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it another day. But thank you guys. You guys made it. You guys did it. I really do appreciate that, man, because we made it to 1,000. That was one of our first major goals that we wanted to accomplish, and we did that. And it's because of you guys. All right. So thank you all so much. And make sure you keep subscribing. Make sure you donate to the channel. Make sure you do all that because we got to grow. And if we grow, we're going to make sure that we continue. You seem fair and unbiased. There's ways on how to discuss things, unlike others I've heard sounding like clowns. Yeah, man. Look, I know for a fact that me having a certain level of experience makes me a little bit different than a lot of other content creators in this space. You know what I'm saying? I am not a young cat. I know I look young, but I'm not young. I'm a little bit older than a lot of people probably think. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, that experience gives me a certain outlook and a certain understanding of people, not only just of myself, but of people and of the world. And I wouldn't have been able to gain that without the experience. And mind you, that's based on my own understandings. You feel me? My own life. I can't speak for nobody else. But if you over here and you support my channel, you support my content, you're going to get an unbiased and a very fair assessment of everything. And not only that, I'm obviously going to be biased in a certain way when it comes to foundational Black Americans. That's just an open bias that I'm going to have because I am foundational Black American. But the understanding of knowing how to look at the facts and knowing how to bring them to you guys and doing the research, that's something that I feel I'm very unique and I'm very good at it. And I'm only getting better. All right. So as I start to get better and I start to grow, you guys will grow with me too. And we're going to be able to do something with this. I can guarantee you I'm going to do something with this. And we're going to take it. We're going to take it far. That's all I got to say, man. That's all I got to say, man. Salute, V. Thank you. One of the early subscribers. You know what I'm saying? V been here for a minute. Salute to V. You know what I'm saying? He been here for a minute. But yeah, man, it's getting late. Your boy, like I said, I work just like y'all. So I got to work tomorrow. So I appreciate all of you guys, man. Thank you so much for helping me reach this goal, helping us reach these goals. And we got more goals coming, man. It's only going to get better. It's only going to grow. We're only going to be able to do more. So thank you guys all so much, man. It means the world to me to have anybody show up, spend time, watch my videos, be in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Sitting here watching, man. It means so much to me. So I appreciate all you guys and salute to everybody, man. Salute to Foundational Black Americans. Salute to the people. Salute to everybody who's out here fighting against the system, fighting the good fight, man. Y'all are the real heroes. I'm just a guy on the internet. And that's facts. That's facts, man. So salute to y'all, man. I'm out. Peace.